What is up, everybody? We are back, and I just realized I don't have the Drabby Noops cam active. Oh no, Drabby Noops, you need to shoot me the link for your
Yeah, I
plugin.
got it. I got it. When we started our pre stream stuff, I wasn't feeling too good, so I didn't exactly want to appear on camera, so I just kind of kept quiet, but I'm feeling better now, so let's send that to you.
Okay, glad to hear you're starting to feel better. This is VDO Ninja. That's the name of the service.
Yeah.
You need to know for next week. No reason.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Uh all right, but we are back for Gauntlet episode 2. Where now this week, Drabby Noops and I worked together to build his deck. Because
Yes.
one, life is busy, and so sometimes you don't always have time to work on this stuff. Like, I'm really excited to see the decks that how this plays out. Because like the deck we built for you, which actually since I have it in my deck thing, we'll bring it up on
Yeah, might as well
screen.
pull it up.
It's a Hardened Scales deck, which we've played around with this archetype in the budget battles of all places.
Yes.
Which I definitely feel like those budget battles are a fairly good litmus test for if something at least has the support it needs to work.
Hmm.
So like a good example here is I definitely feel like the fact that Hardened Scales got so much testing, like we did find that like there is enough support to play Hardened Scales decks. The biggest problem with them is that it's likely that green white is the better color combination, and we don't have Razor Verge Thicket. Was like
Yeah.
the big thing, and black green is an option, but you get less overall support to the archetype, and but you do get Blooming Marsh, and then there's like ideas of, well, do you just play Abzan and go that way? So there's a lot of things you can do, but definitely we settled on a green white build. Uh, so of course the titular Hardened Scales, the reason we're green white with Conclave Mentor, and then we got a handful of white cards. Not a huge white presence in the deck, I would
No.
say.
It's definitely a supporting role.
Yeah, it's the second color for sure, but that's part by design because we are playing 3 copies of Vivian Arcbow Ranger. Which
Mhm.
luckily, even with like three mono white sources in the deck, potentially up to 7, like Vivian will definitely be castable on the back of cards like Rishkar. Of course, you get your classic Great Henge cards like Stonecoil Serpent, which this can actually be a little bit of a scary card. Because I have a strong inclination in my gut that tells me that one specific matchup today is going to be the reason this deck probably doesn't get played that much. But we'll get into that when we get into that. But yeah, very just kind of good overall. We get a fight rigging sub theme, not all in on the fight rigging, really taking advantage of just its regular turn to turn ability versus the hideaway portion, which I really like. Because like one of the worst parts of fight rigging decks, at least in my opinion, is that like they do their fight rigging thing, and then like the fight rigging itself doesn't like have much value for the most part,
Yeah.
which is fine. But it'd be nice to be able to do stuff. But like we don't have too much in our top end. The Great Hands, Virtuous Gearhulk, 2 cards that we would definitely like to hit, right?
Yeah,
Because I
for
think
sure.
like especially I could see scenarios where like our opponent plays in a certain way, and by your opponent I mean me. Uh, plays in a certain way where I can't plan for this card being under this, and if you cast this before attacks, that could be backbreaking
Mhm.
in combat. So I think a very exciting combination of cards. And another card that kind of fits really well into this archetype, just as like a general beater, is Knight of Autumn, but also like all of the modes on this card are super relevant.
Yeah.
Like we'll get into the gauntlet itself, but the number one most played deck is Rakdos Sacrifice, and being able to just to shatter something on a 2-1 is like a lot better than I think a lot of people would realize. Just like
Hmm.
pop a witch's oven. Like that's really really strong. But then there is not too many, but there's a good number of enchantments as well in the format. So like it's also fairly relevant there. So I'm really excited to dive into these matches here, Drappy Noobs.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So the drill
I
is,
mean, I
go ahead.
I like I like Hardened Scales. It's That's a card that ever since it was printed, I was like, yes, this is what I want to be doing. So
Oh, for sure. Well, you're the one who brought it to the budget. I think I brought it once to the budget battle for the color restriction week because I had to build
yeah,
an
well,
Abzan deck. But like,
yes,
I recall like I think you've brought like Hardened Skills decks twice in like two different
yes,
seasons.
yes. I brought the mono green elves with the fight rigging in there as well. Because fight rigging made Morrowind tap for more mana.
Mm.
And then I could, cast a gigantic finale of devastation.
Mhm.
Eventually. And then I'm trying to think what the other deck was, but I did bring it twice.
Yes. No, definitely. I feel like you're a big fan of the card, so I was really happy that we were able to incorporate it outside of the budget battle, even because
Mhm.
it's definitely a thing that I feel like the budget battle is a good proving ground to see if something's worth playing, and this definitely feels like an archetype that's worth playing. And speaking of archetypes, I'll be playing Esper Greasefang as our Gauntlet rank number 3 deck. I have a fine hand.
I. Hmm.
Feels
This
like
hand.
your deck needs to curve out, right?
Yeah, so the thing is, I have the lands I need, but not on curve. So I'm gonna take the mulligan, and yeah, that's good. Yeah, I want to make sure that I'm actually able to curve into these cards. That's gonna be important.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah, okay, I like this. So, yeah.
Okay. Fairly standard start for Drabby Noobs over there. I'm gonna go and play the old Ledger Shredder. People finally coming down on this card. I cut it out of my Pioneer deck, Drabby Noobs. Ooh,
Oh no.
that's a wombo combo. Yeah, I'll take 3. Yeah, this definitely feels like part of like the big opportunity for 4 decks in this format is very much like how much pressure can you generate and how resilient are you to the like disruption that's commonly played in the format. What do you got? Hardened Scales, a Rishkar, a Llanowar Elves? I think you're Vivian Arcbow Ranger. Well, it ain't blocking, so I guess it's attacking.
Yeah, I mean, um, yeah,
So
let's
I,
just get it out there.
and my big thing that I worry about with a deck like this is I was a absolutely disgusting draw. I feel like you just ship it, right? Like you just need to kill me.
Yeah, that's
Cause like my thing here, it's like I don't have a good block, right? And this has trample
no,
now,
yeah.
so it's like I probably just sit here. So, cause I don't even think I block.
I don't think it's in your best interest to block.
I mean,
I mean,
cause
you have
like
full info.
I
I have
have
full
the
information on
combo,
my hand too.
like
Yeah.
this Rafine's informant set up the combo super well. I'm gonna dump that guy. Put that in the graveyard. Because here I get back the Perhellion. I can attack with this. And I think I can attack with the Rafine's informant as well. Because like this presents 16 damage though, which is not enough to kill you. And I'm worried that you like I know your hand here, so I think it's correct to pressure you like this, but like you can easily kill me on the crackback with a good top deck.
Yeah, we will see. What? Okay. Um. Jeez. Okay. So you've got 3 blockers. That's makes me sad.
Feels like your best top deck is
Because
probably like a fight rigging.
yeah, fight rigging would have been the best. unfortunately, it wasn't fight rigging. And it wasn't necessarily like bad either,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also not ideal. So
Sure.
I am going to ah crap. Yeah, I need.
Another copy of
So I'm gonna
Rishkar.
keep.
Keep the.
Yeah.
Why would you kept the new one?
Oh, I clicked it in the wrong.
Oh,
Yep, I clicked in the wrong. I was gonna keep the one that could attack. So
okay.
that was you know, misplay city. But I mean, yeah, honestly, that would have been. Oh shoot. Well,
Well, like yeah, like my big thing here is so like I'm gonna block here because I have to, and I'm gonna have to block here. Um,
yeah. Could have blocked. I feel like though, if you had a way to get Parhelion in the grave again, which honestly,
I
with
have a
the
second one in the graveyard.
oh, do you?
Yeah, I hit one
Oh yeah,
last
look at
turn.
that. Yeah, no.
Yeah, so I believe this one's just over, but
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean I'll
yeah,
just
I what I wanted to do there was to obviously have the Rishkar so I could attack with it, force the block with the Ledger Shredder, but you
mm,
already had the Parhelion, so
yeah. Well, yeah, no, like, cause here's the thing: is I hit two Parhelions, so by all counts, I think I high rolled you here.
mm,
Like, if I'm being honest, because like hitting two Parhelions makes a big difference. Because the other way I have to get that Parhelion back in the graveyard is to draw two spells, and I'm playing spells like Thoughtseize, which are just not gonna do.
mm.
They're just not gonna do it. Well, awkwardly, my removal is very awkward against you.
Um, this is interesting. Okay.
Again, remember you have the deck list in Discord.
Yes,
Yeah, so
yes.
you feel free to utilize that to the fullest, please.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so very likely. Ooh, Sky Sovereign. Okay, makes sense. Still want
Hold up.
like
I have Sky Sovereign in this deck.
yeah, one copy.
Oh yeah, it's in my main deck. Well, wasn't even looking at that part of my curve, to be honest. I was like too busy like getting these thought seizes out of my deck. So I'm just not confident in like, especially with you on the play. If I was on the play, I would consider keeping them for disruption, but it feels like it's more likely like that my life total is gonna get too low too quickly to reliably thought seize you.
Fair
Without just
enough.
like killing myself.
Okay, so we'll take the play. Uh,
Well, you can't say.
yeah, this isn't ideal, but I still think. Let's see. I've got. I think this is still okay. It's a turn slower than I want it to be, but I think
Mine's showing
I
off
can.
uh, why three color decks struggle so much. Bibbity boppity. Bloodship's thirst.
Mm, okay, and this is why it's a turn slower.
Ah. Interesting addition to
Not,
these decks, Season Hollow Blade.
ooh, I like that actually.
I do too. I think it's a neat little addition.
Okay, so sure, we'll just work this out. Worst case scenario, I gain some life.
Right? It is probably
I
the
do.
way to look at it.
Yeah, I do like the dice trigger here, so that's ooh, okay.
True.
Oh.
Okay,
Oh, you can
nice.
just oh, I love that. I love that a lot.
Yeah, this card seems
because
really
then you
good in
could,
these decks.
yeah, yeah, I like that a lot. I've seen people playing the God, that spirit, right? The one that you can discard a card to exile it, or
Oh,
you
sure.
remove 3 cards to exile it, or whatever.
Oh, sure.
I think this is the way we want to go with that.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
it's a
this,
4/4.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah. I
sure.
mean,
So I just dumped a Parhelion though.
oh, did you?
So there's a chance I just kill you here, right?
That's true.
And by that I mean I have a Grease Fang.
Yeah. Well,
And
I didn't have any of my graveyard hate anyways, so it's not like I could do anything about it.
I want to trigger it this way. I guess this one. 2, 3, 4, 5, because
Okay.
this seems ridiculously. 2, 3, 4,
Mm-hmm.
5.
Yeah, I think that makes it
So you're gonna gain up to 19,
yeah.
and you're gonna take exactly 19.
Oh man, yeah,
Oh, that's spooky how that worked out, actually. But
yeah.
I'm sorry, you gained up to 14.
Okay, but yeah, no. As we saw on the deck list, I had a few options for. 'Cause
Yeah.
I can't like. I have no instant speed fight. That would probably been the ideal form of removal here, because if I can just get Grease Fang off the field,
Yeah,
it
just
doesn't
something.
matter how many Parhelions you have.
Yeah, something like a 1 mana fight spell of some kind, or or even like what's its name, Ram Through.
Yeah,
But like Primal Might would probably be a really good card.
yeah. So,
Okay.
I mean,
So
yeah, the plan there was the Return to Natures, the Beseiju, a couple Hearses, even though they're a little slower.
well, I think the
Uh,
Hearse shuts this deck out of its game plan.
oh yeah, no, and if I had gotten it, that would have been great.
Unless I could put 3 Parhelions into play at the same time, and then miraculously have you not target that one after I target it.
yeah.
Like, that would be the only reasonable way to do it. But, okay. Not surprised there. I definitely was going over the top of you with this deck. So, a few takeaways of cards that I was thinking about, like you mentioned, instant speed interaction would be a big add. So there's a few cards we could look at there. Or even just, other fight spells. So just more interaction that just costs less than Vivian. Other card that came to mind that, I don't know, we completely glossed over it was Scavenging Ooze. It's an option,
true.
as well as Lion's Sash. But Lion's Sash might be a little bit harder of a sell at that mana base.
Yeah, no, if we leaned more into white, which I don't understand why we would, so it's
Lion's
definitely
Sash.
Scavenging Ooze.
Lion's Sash
Yeah.
would be the... Well, Lion's Sash you can equip to other things. It's like,
That's true.
like Wrath-proof kind of deal.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Oh, I also did bring in the Shadow Spear. I forget. There's a card in here that wasn't very useful, and I didn't want to draw it. And the Shadow Spear would at least allow me to strap up one of my big creatures and stay above water.
Oh, sure.
So.
Well, the other way you could beat out this Grease Fang deck would be with just a massive big thing with lifelink would probably do the job.
Mm-hmm.
That would
and
be
also
really
also a big enough stone coil.
That too, something with reach would also be a good option.
So I do think the keeping that hand that was a turn slow is probably the wrong choice.
Potentially, yeah. It feels like you have to. Well, that's I think that was a scenario where it was overgrown farmland, kind of bit us in the ass.
Yeah, no. If it was the other land.
Because I definitely in my head I'm this could be like 2 copies of farmland, but 4 copies of Sun Petal Grove would be and we go more into because that also makes white a little easier, because then we can better justify playing a few white sources, extra couple of white sources. But Yeah, definitely some interesting notes to take away from with the Hardened Scales deck. It felt like what it did was powerful. Just like Esper Greasefang is kind of like an all-in combo deck, so it's not
Yeah.
surprising that the Green Stompy deck got
Oh
by a
yeah,
combo
no,
deck.
and that definitely seems like the predicted outcome in that situation.
I also feel like another sideboard card that I've considered for decks like that one would be like Lyra Dawnbringer is a good one you can
Okay.
play. Because, like, that
Yeah.
also just, like, putting counters on a Baneslayer Angel is, like, good.
Yes.
And that happens to also block 4/4 Angel tokens.
Yeah.
And if it has lifelink, like, you can, like, cancel out the damage that Berhellion's doing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So definitely something we could also consider for the deck. So I think that'll be something that when we're done with the Gauntlet and we revisit the deck building, we can really focus on that. But let's dive into match number 2. This will be your first wild card matchup.
Ooh, very nice.
So I'm gonna have you pick number 1 or number 2.
Let's do number one.
Okay. Got a fun one here. So this was recently talked about on Channel Fireball. Uh, Not for hands like this, but I actually think this is a keep.
I just don't have a one drop, but other than that, my hand is
Definitely feels like you
very
want one
decent.
drops.
Yeah, and if you're going first with no, and assuming well, I actually don't know what you have,
No,
so
these are the wild card matchups, so you want to treat it like you're completely in the dark.
yeah, yeah. So, I also don't want to keep one land.
You could
So,
justify it if you have a Llanowar Elves, but
okay, yeah, but I didn't. So,
it's fair.
I think it's still, yeah, I think it's the right choice to go down to 5 here, considering I still draw up to 6.
That's true.
So,
As long as you have like a land, a one, like 2 lands, a 1 and a 2, or like a Llanowar
yeah.
Elves or something.
Hmm.
It's all perfectly reasonable. Okay.
What have we got here? Okay.
Turn 2 fight rigging, baby.
Ooh.
Let's do this.
All right. All right. I like me some rigging. I like me some rigging. Sure.
That's a good one. So this
Yep.
is definitely more of a matchup where, like, I think your game plan is gonna line up particularly well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just gonna play a 5/5. Like,
Yep. Okay.
don't have a third
Sure.
land drop though. Another card that I realized we could be playing it. Ooh, this is what I was talking about. Just incidental
Yep.
shatter effects are pretty effective.
Though.
Although,
Can't
by the way,
exactly.
can you see the card in exile?
No.
Okay, it's because it is exile face down.
Oh shoot.
I was doing a bug check.
Yep. All right. What do we got here?
Cast Tybalt.
Oh god damn it. All right. I know what the deck is now.
Yeah, this is just a Golgari fight rigging.
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yep.
anything. It was less special than you thought it was.
Yeah.
Um, Actually, I think I just play a 1/1.
Yeah. So, well, then you would have been able to attack at that point.
No, I didn't want to attack. That was the point.
Oh.
Also, I didn't have the land. I exiled it off a Tybalt.
Oh, okay.
I tapped out to play the fight rigging.
I guess we gotta sit back for now.
Yeah.
Could really use a 4th or 5th land, maybe a Rishka.
I'll borrow this.
Oof. I mean, that's. Oh, that's gross. Oh no.
Doing him dirty, chat. Play this one. This is getting out of hand pretty quickly.
Oh, but why? Okay. Okay.
I actually think, I think I just go right here and
Yeah.
I send him in.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't.
I really like these fight rigging decks with Tybalt because it's just like every other good Tybalt deck where the only way Tybalt's any good is that you cheat him into play.
Yeah. Uh, okay. I'm trying to think based on what I have in my hand.
Well, you have no good blocks. Like your best block would be
Yeah.
like to double block with like Knight of Autumn and the 3/3 Pelt Collector on a Llanowar Elves. But
Yeah.
then you're trading two things for one thing when I have five things.
Yeah, and the double white was killing me there. It was more that than anything else.
Mm-hmm. No, that was a
Yeah.
really brutal draw mana wise for you just in general.
Oh, rough. Okay. Sure. So I mean, Golgari fight
A
rigging.
card I realized
Okay.
we could be playing in that deck, by the way, Turn Timber Symbiosis.
Oh yeah.
That's a really
Yeah,
good
that'd be
one.
good.
We could be playing as like a one or two of in that deck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like the more I think about that, the more that makes sense.
Well, we did it on short notice, so it's not like.
Yeah, we did do a little bit of slapping together, I would say.
Yeah.
I gotta step away real quick.
Yeah, no problem. But we are going to wait on our submission until he gets back, just so that it doesn't like time him out or anything. Okay, cool.
I'm
I'll
back.
submit now.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, you should
I was
totally
just
take the free win.
nah, nah. I was explicitly telling the audience.
I would do. Yeah, but here's the thing: if my opponent goes AFK, I'll take the free win. Remember, this is the competitive stream.
Oh.
You leave that
Okay.
casual being friendly shit for the Thursday stream.
All right. All right.
Oh, that's a good start for you.
Yeah. Let's hope I actually have a turn to play. I don't. Oh yeah.
Well, even just like another one drop wouldn't be bad.
Yeah. I had 3 lands that I could all play just a turn behind, so I was like, whatever.
Time to breathe heavy.
That is.
There's like another
Big
aspect of
boy.
those decks that the more I think about it, the more I think I like these decks better as black green.
Mm-hmm.
Or like maybe Abzan is just like correct. Where you just like lean into like having a little bit of removal, giving up on cards like Vivian to like concede to the mana base.
Sure.
Right on time.
Nah.
Hanj.
Oh, okay.
Hanj
That's-
Gruber.
It's still bad for me, but
You do get to gain some life, and you can let me
Yeah.
draw a card if you want instead of taking 6.
I'll take 6. It's fine. Okay. Interesting. So I'm gonna be taking a damage here either way, but man, if I ever get a way to get counters, oh boy, watch out. Oof. All right. Well, yeah. You know what? You got it.
Yeah, that. Oh, you just giving me the card.
Yeah. This time. I think I gotta. So I'm trying to think here. We are in a less than ideal situation. 1, 2, 3. Right. Okay.
Mhm.
So.
Okay. That comes down. Pop this grid hinge. Oh,
Nope.
that's right. No, never mind. You have 3 hard scales effects.
Yeah.
You just get on the battlefield here.
Yep. Though I will say my follow up is would have been super cool, but I gotta, I can't exactly do it. Oh no, that's even better follow up. Yep. Oof.
Sick.
Still though, damn, that is a big Llanowar elves.
Damn right it is.
That is a big boy.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
swing team here.
Yeah, no, I mean you're gonna draw, and then I'm gonna take.
I ripped the second removal spell here.
Oh my god. I mean, you were gonna get through anyway, but
Yeah, I just cleared the battlefield. Play a land for turn.
no.
Go
All right.
1/1.
So I had Great Henge. That would have been nice. But yeah, that's it.
That was brutal.
That was insane. I mean, I love fight rigging, so
Yeah, that went. I think another thing that the kind of a trend I noticed like between these first two matches was that like the two things I attacked you with were going so far over the top of you.
yeah.
Like you're like playing like like little kid Selesnya, and I'm playing big bully combos like over the top like powerful stuff. So it definitely feels like maybe that's a like either something we would need to like figure a way out to incorporate, or like how can we be the big go over the top deck basically with the Greenwood
Okay, yeah.
or like what elements like do we lean more into fight rigging, do we like that kind of stuff, like that's just some questions that I feel we could answer in the Selesnya deck. So like maybe that's just kind of been my notes so far, which I have been keeping notes by the way on
Okay.
how we feel about the deck. Like, so it definitely feels like needs to either be like more aggressive, so like less threes, more twos and ones, or needs a more prevalent go over the top play style.
Yeah, I even have been finding just playing on my own that I've been lowering my curve a lot because of all these decks that, are aggressively comboing. Like if I'm going to play what is ostensibly a fair deck, I need to at least play fairly at a speed that I can
Yeah, you need to be able to
reasonably
pressure
win.
like
Yes.
very quickly. Otherwise, like if you're not moving forward at a certain speed, you're moving backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well let's move into the next matchup. This is back to the actual ranked gauntlet. This is our number 2 ranked deck.
Okay.
It was last week's number 1 ranked deck. How the mighty have fallen.
Okay.
This is the Rock.
The
Rakdos Rock, which I love that in the year of our Lord 2022, Rakdos is the color of the rock. It's my time to shine. Snap keep. Not even gonna think about it.
This is
This is everything I want in Magic deck.
all you ever wanted, all you ever needed.
Get that shit out of my house.
Oh. How dare. Okay.
Let me take a look what you got going on here, brother. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Honestly, probably one of the most solid hands I've kept in the, this whole stream.
Honestly, yeah. Well, in my viewpoint here, like if that Llanowar Elves was a Hardened scale, is that like this hand would go from like a like for decks like opening hands I would want. Like, and if you were on the play, like then like even better, it could have been like a what's its name? The
Pelt collector?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pelt
Okay.
Collector. Yeah, that because that would be really good on the play.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take my 2 for 1 and move on with my
Yeah,
life.
that's totally fair. Oh, okay, okay. We've got something here. Although it is a bit awkward, but we're gonna get this down.
Oh sure,
And we're just gonna
I don't
do this.
dislike that.
Yeah, we're just gonna. That's fine.
Play a 1/1.
Yeah.
Blade Croaks.
Okay.
Get you hellbent.
A.
Oh, that was a good one for me to hit. Didn't have the
Yep.
land though, but you did play into curving into the land at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, here comes the 1/1 beatdown, huh?
Hopefully it'll be more.
Now let's play a 4/3. Slow this shit down.
A. I mean, obviously I can't attack into it right now, but
I could attack into you though.
you can. Pretty easily,
Yeah.
in fact. Okay. We know it's me piloting the deck because I'm drawing lands. Oh, brutal.
Take it all away from you. Also, it sets this up.
I mean, that's entirely fair.
I mean, this is, to be fair, I feel like the litmus test for being a playable aggro deck is you probably have to be able to, like, beat this deck.
Yeah.
Which is why a card that I think could be back in vogue for these green decks is something like, what's its name? Oh, I could have won the game here if I wasn't a dipshit, but I still win the game anyway. But
Yeah, you still win the game.
is Garrick's Harbinger.
Okay, yeah.
So an old deck that I really, really liked playing, actually in Historic of all places, was, we used to just call it Beef Company.
Okay.
Because it was just like black-green, like, collected company with, like, Garrick's Harbinger, and, like, you played, like, Lovestruck Beast and, like, Steel Leaf Champion.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that was your deck. And you had, like, Llanowar Elves, Thoughtseize, Fatal Pushes. It was just like a really neat kind of deck that seems like it could be good.
Ooh, I like that it plays a copy of Hidetsugu consumes all on the sideboard.
That's a really heads-up decision, I feel like. Especially because you see it looks like they actually trimmed a copy of Croxa.
Yeah.
They're only playing 2 copies. Feels particularly apt here. And this list I found, this I found in the untapped deck dumps. Another card that I'm really liking, that I'm seeing an uptick in its level of play, is Murderous Rider.
Ooh.
I think that's a card that a lot of people kind of wrote off as just like a shitty Hero's Downfall, and like Hero's Downfall is already kind of shitty.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it feels like having something that's like a hill giant in an aggro matchup that has lifelink is good, but like also like it's like a hard, especially in this format when we don't have Dreadbore, just giving us an out to Planeswalker threats at instant speed seems really solid. And I've been seeing the similar trend of like it going into Pioneer, just at a much slower pace.
Yeah. Okay. I don't actually. Yeah, I'm moving. I know. Getting mad at me.
So I'm starting to wonder now that we're in the middle of our second episode, how much is this of a stream of showing off how good you are at deck building versus me showing the range of which I can play decks?
Yeah. Oh wow, this is unacceptable.
I'm gonna mulligan with you, brother.
A hand just filled with green cards and all of my white sources.
Maybe we should cut a planes out of that deck.
That might be
Put that
a very good decision, honestly.
Yeah, like it feels like they can be a little bit of a liability.
Yeah. I'm starting to feel it. Uh,
It's either that or
yeah.
we gotta lean more into the white, right? Like, it's one or the
Yeah.
other.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even think leaning more into the white would be bad. Like, I think Lion Sash would be a really sweet card. It's
Oh
just
yeah.
like, I think it's also just kind of generally shitty, like, compared to Scavenging Ooze. But it
Mm.
does get counters, which is exiling permanents, which is, like, somewhat better than Scavenging Ooze. Interesting debate. Curiosity, did you draw the Hardened scales?
Uh, no.
I would have for
So
sure played that on one.
so it was I also had Conclave Mentor
Mm.
and it was but I had the tapped land, so I was debating like, which do I play first kind of
I would have
deal.
for sure went with the scales. Because, like, the difference between, like, me getting to, like, use my mana efficiently and, like, so, like, you make my hand a lot worse when I have to, like,
Mm-hmm.
start removing things at weird times.
Fair.
I mean, yeah, I'm the king of the 1-for-1.
Oh yeah, the 2 life. It's gonna save me.
You never know, man. Ooh. That's actually really good,
Yeah.
though. Like, because we're getting to
Yeah,
this
it's
point
out
where,
of the
like,
3 range.
yeah, like, I don't have another answer to this card. Like, well, I mean, to be fair, like, I was upgrading it. Like, I could just shatter it.
Yeah.
I'll take 4 to draw Chandra. I get to keep. Oh, that's a
Okay.
bag of dicks. That's gonna kill my Soren and put this Chandra out of range. That's really. That's grody.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
That
get.
was very good for me.
I think Stonecoil Serpent is also, like, secretly one of the best cards you could be playing in that deck.
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah, this is more within my.
I definitely played a Mimi version of this deck. Yeah, we're gonna just rock this out. Um, yep.
Where's the
Honestly,
gross emote? Can I get a Hedron vomiting?
oh,
Yeah, just make it the old casual,
7/6.
yeah, for 3 mana there. Draw a card
Oh,
even.
that was disgusting.
I'll say. I mean, who am I kidding? I'm dead. Like, I'm just going through the motions at this point. Yeah, I think that's a perfect example of what this deck's good at. Because I feel like, and that's
Yeah.
like the argument of, like, leaning it up a little bit, right? Is like,
Mm.
look at what you did there. Like, you played more threats than I had answers. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's the way you play through these matchups, right? Is where like you just just threat swarm the board, and eventually I just don't have enough stuff.
Mhm.
Also,
Mhm.
like, for some of your creatures, you can grow them past the Chandra, because, like, that's what
Yeah.
happened there. It's like, I have to take that Chandra and just hope you can't put more counters on that thing. And as it turns out, you definitely could, and that was, the downfall. I'm keeping my
I feel
7. I
like
got a strong 7.
yeah, I feel like if I don't have a turn 2 play, I need to ship it. So,
That definitely feels like it's a very mulligan intensive deck.
yeah, no, you need to make sure that you're, getting a hand that, is acceptable.
Yeah, well, you just basically you need to have you have a game plan, and your hand needs to be able to, in some form or fashion, execute on that game plan. Interesting. You didn't want to just pay the full price into that?
I did not.
Ah, because there's a thing in your hand. Yeah. Conveniently, Stonecoil Serpent here at its absolute finest, because I am just gonna actually have to do this, and I can't Kolaghan's Command that.
Yeah.
Which is a prevalent thing. Kolaghan's Command is a increasingly relevant card. And Snakeskin Veil here, and what that did was, that's
Yeah.
particularly notable, is how, like, that traded resources with me. Okay. I noticed Dravinus
That
has as a
is
priority stop. which is the shitbag way of cheesing people to find out if they have shit like Hardened skin, with snakeskin veil in their hand.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. I mean, yeah, let's just, why would I, oh, wait. Yeah, no, let's actually let's just go in.
Let's just
yeah,
let's send it.
got him.
Interesting. Tapping out for it.
Eh.
Though, to be fair, I do not have an answer for it.
Hey.
Because, you know what can't target that? This cold guns command.
Yeah?
Still get to eat a card out of your hand, get some bodies on the table, but if you have any ways to follow up on this, and like, there's the white mana.
Yep.
Well, that's still just good.
I mean, I'm just gonna...
Hold up.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta... If you got... Smoke them if you got them.
Yeah. I mean, it's just being mana efficient at this point.
Yep.
Yep. Take 4. Though, I won't lie, I think I can crack you back harder here.
Yeah.
I am all for this race. Although, you do have a Heshep Oasis.
Yeah.
Sort of hanging out back here. That's sick one of that totally isn't in there because you don't have any copies of Lair of the Hydra.
Definitely not.
Definitely not the reason why it's in there.
Definitely not the reason. That would be ridiculous.
Don't have enough rare wild cards, you say?
I will say your board is bigger than mine. I'm just, I'm at a point right now where it's just like I gotta hope I can.
I'm experiencing slight lag.
Okay. All right. Now, do I get greedy?
If it's a copy of Snakeskin Veil, don't do it. It's never worth being that greedy. Tapped out.
It is a shame that this deal here. I'm gonna have to stay back, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Among 2 creatures. I mean.
Well, the cool thing is how if you have 2 creatures, it's really good with hardened scales.
Yeah.
So, you block Den. If you kill one of these, you're only going to take 3 next turn. But, alternatively, I could just kill your Vivian. But you would still have a stone. Like, to do that, like, I would just, like, not attack with Den of the Bugbear. So it feels like it's a horse apiece. I would probably just go with plussing.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's the same conclusion I came to.
And this isn't to BM you, but I did, in fact, top deck the Abrade.
Oh no, I figured you had something,
but which is why I told you not to snakeskin.
And that's 8 right there. So
yeah. So that was definitely I'll ship 1 at the Vivian just for good measure. But yeah, like
perfect victory.
Exactly. This was a very close match. This is closer than it looked. And definitely a matchup I feel like that deck could be easily tuned for. Because I feel like there's some card choices we could very easily make that would play, like, the answers you should play around are the ones in the Rakdos deck, and it feels like once you, like, put that together, it's probably pretty easy to attack it. So, that'll probably be something, so, like, leaning into Rakdos resilient threats. Alright, let's put that in our notes here. But we'll quickly move on here to the second wild card matchup. This one's gonna be... If you win the die roll, I think you're really favored in this one.
Okay, well.
So, full disclosure, this started as a best of 1 deck. I built the sideboard for it.
Oh, okay. You didn't tell me what it was. You just told me you had a best of 1 deck.
I will tell you that it got a card banned in Alchemy this week.
Oh. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Gee, I may or may not know what it is.
Oh no, really? Well, I mean, you're starting off pretty strong there. Rishkar.
That yeah, Rishkar would be fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Um, okay, yes, yes, yes.
Okay, that's pretty terrifying. Yeah, this is what I meant by the way, is that like this is an example. I'm playing a deck now that's like I'm playing a combo deck, but like, you know, it's not like I'm necessarily faster than you by any means. Because I'm very much. Oh, I played that backwards, but
I do like this. Uh, I don't know a whole lot about the specific version you're playing, but I do. Oh, it needed triple green. Okay, that makes sense.
it's fine. What are you gonna do? Make these into like 7/7s or 8/8s?
Yeah.
Chump Block City? Question.
Yeah, I wasn't a
Oh, they
huge.
have trample. That's disgusting. I'm
Yeah.
dead. I have to triple block just to go to 1. Like, at which point there's
Vivian.
no chance of me winning. So
Vivian's real good. Yeah, I didn't really like the alchemy version of that deck because it was just kind of easy, in my opinion. But
no, that's exactly why they banned it. Like,
yeah,
it's that it was way too easy to do. Like,
yeah,
oh goodness. Yeah, I don't really have much. Like the sideboard of this deck is really straightforward.
yeah. And I mean, and based on what you're doing, I've got like one card I want to bring in.
Your plan is to cave my head in.
Yeah, yeah, but I have exactly one card that caves your head in faster than the rest of my deck. So,
You see, there you go. That's all you need. So this one was recently talked about by Martin Yuza on Channel Fireball. It's what made it eligible for this.
okay, this is
Because despite what you might think, chat, I do in fact vet all of these decks. Both the data and then also, you know, if other like major
I
content
think
platforms
it's
are talking about them.
okay. This is acceptable. Um, always rough to mulligan that many cards with this. You know, you gotta have a playable hand.
That is very important, I would say. I mean, it's about as good as it's gonna get for you.
Yeah. Ooh, if it has 3 or more counters, I get trample. Ooh.
Yeah, that Pelt Collector's a hell of a magic card. Nasty. Yeah,
We'll
just you're doing the thing. I mean, this is what
yeah.
like now we're really getting to see the deck show off what it's sort of capable of.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely needs to be more resilient to removal, especially with the Rakdos decks being so popular, Rakdos-based decks.
No, for sure.
Oh my god, I forgot that Grinning Ignis is an elemental.
Auto pay. Yeah. Sometimes you just assemble the combo. And by that I mean, you know, you shock in and undo all that life gain you just did. I hit 0 lands in this 24 land deck. That feels great. Alright. Yeah, that's a 7/7. Oh, and it's a Fabled Passage. That's disgusting.
Yeah, I'm just gonna...
Honestly, I wouldn't even have hated sending in that Conclave Mentor here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, because I could have buffed... Oh, yeah, I could
Like,
have buffed it up
what am
with
I
the
gonna do?
Warlord.
Double block it for you to crack that passage? Like,
Yeah, that's entirely fair.
even the Llanowar Elves. The Llanowar Elves
Yeah.
less so, but
Yeah, but yeah, still crack the Fabled Passage to give 2+1/+1 counter seems pretty good.
Oh, actually, I fucked that up.
So we were actually talking about when I was digging through. So I've been thinking about like making some more static like YouTube content style stuff, and I've been really getting into Artisan Commander,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which is a variation that I think is very cool. I'm actually just gonna go in with everything because I really like what's going on here. I'm really digging the vibe here. Uh,
Yeah, I feel like if you had a way to kill me, you would have done it. This is
Absolutely.
9 representing 11. I feel like I can just go. Like, I'm not dead, I didn't think.
No, no. I just drew a Llanowar Elf, so
Okay.
it wasn't even like I was fading battle tricks or anything. But oh yeah, I discovered, or rather rediscovered, I suppose, Perilous Forays,
Okay.
and boy oh boy is that a card that I would absolutely love in a situation like this with the Roaring Earth.
I did it. I did it, chat. I have assembled the combo.
You have indeed assembled the combo.
So we'll go through it
know
for a
what?
little bit.
Yeah,
Just
no, let's go through it because I want chat slash the audience slash your preferred title to see what's going on here. I'm just gonna go ahead and give you full priority here because I have no responses. So we're not even gonna we're not gonna delay the stream in any way. We're just gonna let you do it and show off what's going on here.
I've managed to just not hit any lands. Alright,
I mean,
this will
you get
quick
like
pick up the
you get
pace.
theoretically infinite.
I could draw my whole deck here.
Yeah.
And then this makes additional. I believe I just need to make more red mana. Yeah, because the way this is going to end up working is I make just enough mana and draw into a Cavalier of Thorns. And then, I pump up that Cavalier of Thorns. And my whole team.
A flame, right?
Yeah, that's what I meant, the red one.
Yeah.
So, like, here I have the Cavalier.
Yep.
I'll go through this a few times just because, like, it's beneficial for me to, yeah, I'm just gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got a Grinning Angus in play, so let's do this. 2, 3, 4. Yep. Go like this. Bounce this dude. This. I also gain just, like, near infinite life by doing this.
Yep.
And
so this combo was actually what my mono red storm deck was based off of. I obviously had to change the strategy due to budget constraints because it was a budget battle deck, but this was the idea. Grinning Ignis didn't work for what I was looking for in the budget battle. But you're seeing a lot of cards here: Bergie, Runaway Steamkin, a lot of the same stuff. So it was it was the inspiration.
Send it.
Yep.
Yeah, so definitely a deck worthy of talking about. I just don't think it's very good in best of 3.
Yeah.
That's why, I picked it for the wild card, because I also, like today's announcement that they're banning Grinning Angus in Alchemy. Because there was no way to rebalance it without making it unplayable. That old problem we talked about. Of, like, why... I am actually happy to see that they were willing to do it though.
Yeah, but so I understand that Grinning Ignis is the core problem, but Alchemy also has a card that makes it free. And you could literally just they already have templated cards that this card gains this ability until the next time it is cast.
Yeah. It
They
feels
could have
like
just
banning it was like they didn't want to have to fix a different card.
yeah.
So like they decided that banning the uncommon was probably just like there was more EV to them to do
Mhm.
that than there was to do the other thing. Which I don't disagree with, because like you and I talked about in a recent podcast, we were just like, well, maybe it is just better to just like do that sometimes.
Yeah.
Because like I don't think that you can rebalance everything. Like that's just like not realistic.
No, no, for sure. And it's like I think in this form, I think the explorer form of this deck
Hmm.
is probably fine.
Oh yeah,
I don't think
I think this format is has the right kind of disruption
yeah.
to like realistically make this work, right?
Yeah, and not only that, it does have a weakness to removal.
Yes,
It,
inherently.
inherently. What really made the alchemy version so good, not only was there a limited number of removal compared to other formats,
Hmm.
but was also the fact that
Don't mind if you keep killing
Grinning
this.
Ignis gained that ability perpetually. It didn't need a Bergie
Hmm.
to go off. So, 'cause it just needed the other card to give it the ability, and then off to the races. And since it's a
Exactly.
mana, like you can only activate it as a sorcery, but because it's a mana ability, people couldn't like respond to it. You could just do it, you know.
Hmm. No, exactly. That was like a huge part of the problem. Was just like, given the way it was designed, like you just couldn't interact with it meaningfully. That's a lot. Okay, so I just have to block with everything, and I think that just means I die. Right?
I mean, this one has trample, so you may want to consider.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about him. It's like, so if I block here, and I block here, I think I have an out,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not confident. Like, I suppose like I can keep one thing here. What's the
Yeah, you
one
could.
thing I would want to keep, I guess? Probably Steam Kit, actually. Because
Okay.
I could take 3.
Oh,
Oh, never mind. I'm an idiot. That has trample.
yeah, yeah. You miscalculated the trample.
Yes,
Okay.
that's. I couldn't take anything. No, I drew the Bergie actually.
Oh, okay.
So I
Yeah,
I
that
had
would have
drawn the
been.
Bergie off the second monument trigger. So I think I could have played that differently to give myself a different out that turn. Like I could have played a Risen Reef and done some stuff
Yeah,
that
no,
way, but I think.
yeah,
Go ahead.
knowing the deck, I definitely saw like based on the decisions you made, there was a way out of that. But yeah, that particular line, I guess.
Yes, I will say that and we're gonna move on to our Gauntlet rank number 1 deck, which is Rakdos Sacrifice, a different Rakdos deck. Um, but yeah, it feels like that deck has the potential. Like it might come back as a challenger
Mhm.
in later episodes. I feel like, but definitely one that I wanted to show off here.
Oh,
Well,
for sure,
this
for sure.
hand doesn't look like it's a snap keep to the untrained eye, but kitty.
Okay. Kitty is a good one. Yeah.
All right, deck. Oh, okay. I kept a very greedy 1 land hand. 'Cause if this was Blood Crypt, this hand was like infinitely better.
I will say I did also keep somewhat greedy. because I don't actually have a.
Oh, you don't have a counters payoff?
I don't have a counters payoff right now.
Oh, he's
so.
gonna make me click through it. What a dick. Make me have to click twice, 2 more times than necessary. Brutal. Yep. That's fine. This is your like land verge with Gear Hulk, right?
That would be nuts. But unfortunately not. I do have this Knight of Autumn though.
That's dirty. But this is like the exact matchup we talked about.
I actually want the counters here though, and I do have a reason.
Oh, you want that 3-mana 6/5?
Yes.
That's insane that you'd want that 3-mana 6/5.
I know. Why would I ever want a 3-mana 6/5?
Well, I mean, all that tells me is that you have exactly the Great Henge in your hand, though. Yeah, I'll take one.
Or Huatli's Raptors and a fight rigging or
Jesus
something, right?
Christ. All right, you got this.
Okay.
I got what is that? 8 red pips in my hand.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
That's my own fault. I kept a greedy hand, chat. Don't be like me. You know, be better and whatnot. Yeah. This seems right. This is definitely a matchup that, like, your deck feels like it'll have games where it's really, really good, but, like, Claim the Firstborn is a real big beating against you. Just, like, being able to, like, take, like, some big threat you've put a lot of commitment into, and this being able to, like, then take that away for basically free. This is the hand that makes me lose faith in, like, the internet's ability to build mana bases.
Okay, this is. I keep drawing these I keep drawing the things that give me counters and not the payoffs.
Oh,
but still just enough cards where I want to keep the hand anyway. Yeah, let's just get these Hardened scales out there. Okay. Well, that makes me sad. But let's.
Mentor strong.
Yeah. It does die to Blood Tithe Harvester though,
Yeah,
so.
but it doesn't gain you any life.
Yeah. Okay. Oof.
Yeah, okay. A well-timed Knight of Autumn would be actually quite good here, because I'm missing a 3rd land drop again.
I'm just gonna.
It's actually weird. This is a 22 land deck. Actually, but I did, to be fair, I bottomed a copy of Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Because, like, I actually really dislike Haunted Ridge in these decks. I think it's very bad.
Okay.
Oh,
that makes sense.
I didn't do
mean,
the sacrifice thing, but
especially since you want to consistently get your colors in such a low to the ground deck.
I think this deck runs into the problem of, like, it definitely can't play Dragon Skull Summit.
Mm-hmm.
And Blackleaf Glyphs isn't legal. Because I feel like this is one of those decks where it's like I say this a lot, like I would murder for Blackleaf Glyphs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like so like missing from the deck that it's like it's devastatingly bad.
Oh yeah.
And like it's one of those things where like I feel like if this deck had it, it would be more consistently like not. If this deck had Blackleaf Glyphs in this format, it would be so ridiculously broken that I feel like it would definitely end up like warranting a ban. By the way, did you see they rebalanced Cauldron Familiar for Historic?
Yeah, it can't block.
Can no longer block. How the kitty has fallen.
Honestly, oof.
Time to get extra dirty.
Yeah, that's rough. I will say though, given how previous versions of a similar effect coming back from the graveyard have worked, it is a little surprising they haven't done that sooner.
Honestly, I'm
Wow.
surprised. This feels like a card that probably just should have been designed that way from like the get-go.
Yeah.
Like it feels like, especially with how they've. Now I feel like maybe this is actually thinking about how they've designed cards at least for this type of gameplay since, where we've noticed that trend where they kind of like bake drawbacks into cards, right? It feels like this might be like this was like maybe the card that finally like made them do that. I'm
Yeah.
because this is definitely an archetype that that creates a lot of like like really where you have to like play super tight all the time. But then like
I am like 95% sure you have the win,
oh yeah,
even without that.
I'm actually confident I did too because I sack it
Yeah.
once, sack the two
Yeah,
foods. Yeah, you were dead
you had,
just to the
yeah, you had,
sacrifices.
yeah.
I have to just
Okay.
do full control mode to sack two foods. Okay, well,
Well,
I drew out of my screw and had a lot of gas. Turns out double mayhem devil plus witch's oven and cauldron familiar. Really good against creature decks. Though I feel like if you had gotten any counters on, like if you had gotten that pelt collector up to like a 3/3 or 4/4 at some point, like
yeah.
it definitely feels like that was like you stumbled a little bit there, and
Yeah,
that was the
yeah.
reason why I was able to take over. There it is, that Hive of the Eye Tyrant that I can't target with a Fatal Push.
All right. Well,
Play the old Blood Tithe Harvester.
ooh, that's rough. Okay. Well, that's I think we got to do this then, based on what you got out there.
Oh, that's a good one against this deck.
Yeah.
Like, really good. Because, yeah, I have exactly another Mayhem Devil. So this Blood Tithe Harvester can't target this Stonecoil Serpent, nor can my Mayhem Devil triggers. Matter of fact, back in Standard, Stonecoil Serpent was actually played a lot in Throne of Eldraine Standard, specifically because, A, it couldn't be targeted by Oko, as well as it could trample over elk permanents. And Mayhem Devil couldn't target it either. So it made it actually quite the resilient threat to, say, throw an Ember Cleave on.
Yeah, I really need a third land here.
You don't say.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you're still stonewalling me. Like, I still can't attack you.
Yeah,
So, like,
I don't.
we're going
It's one of those
nowhere
things.
fast.
You know what? If you want to use your resources on that mentor, I am opening. I'm welcoming you with open arms.
I don't think that's wrong. Yeah, like, just, like, trading me 1 for 1, or giving me the option to trade with you 1 for 1.
Mm-hmm.
Though here, I actually think I'm just going to kill Mayhem Devil triggers.
Okay.
Land. Oh, that's so gross. I drew, like, the exact 2 best cards. Which is this,
Oh no!
plus this.
No!
One of my few answers. The good news is, friend, you do gain a life.
Yeah, it's true.
But I'm gonna send it in for 6. Yeah, it feels like, because the one problem I have that I feel like is when you tech against the Rakdos midrange deck, which uses predominantly damage-based and black removal spells. So like a Garrett Harbinger with like some counters on it is good. For all of the work you do to do that, like you just get absolutely destroyed by Claim the Firstborn,
Yeah.
which is like terrifying to think about.
Okay. Well. Yeah, I'm in a weird situation here, but Oof.
Yeah, second devil here.
Oh, you hate to see it, especially when I draw that fabled passage. Okay. um, I need to. Oh God, you've got all the 1, 2, 3. If that land was anything but a fabled passage, I think I'd be fine here. But because it's a fabled passage, it is not fine.
Mayhem Devil. Just a brutal card.
Yeah.
I'm just shocked to have seen this card get rebalanced either.
Yeah.
Like say like only like when you sacrifice a permanent.
Yeah. Yep.
One at that, one up top, and then yeah, you're just dead on the battlefield.
Yeah, I mean, even if I were to even if I were willing to like crack this fabled passage for a untapped forest to play this Pelt Collector, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I'm gonna channel Silken Song because I barely ever get to do it.
Yeah.
It's for extra good measure.
Just to be sure. You know what?
Just in case.
There you go.
This is where are you gonna fail to find too?
This is where I get the Plains and Angel's Grace.
Got him. Okay.
All right.
Well, I mean, so you went 1-4 in the Gauntlet. You got a wild card win against Grinning Angus combo.
Yeah, and I will say, the 2 games I lost against this deck, I accepted slow hands. It's very clear I can't allow you to get online in that
Yes.
matchup.
Well, it feels like you definitely have, like, because if we pull up, this is the Challenger deck. You have Knight of Autumns. You have big trampling threats. You have Yasharn, right, to shut me out.
And I was playing Yasharn, and I just never saw it.
Yeah, I just never. So it feels like the only like slow hands like you can keep. Because, like, there's a few other cards I could foresee playing in a deck like this. Like, this deck could play Rest in Peace, for example. But that doesn't necessarily shut out the Rakdos deck. It just, like, cuts them off of one axis. I could also see a deck like this maybe playing Grafdigger's Cage.
Oh, true.
Would be an option we could go for, which, again, only shuts off the one axis of the deck, but gives you play against a couple of things. Weathered Runestone is actually probably better, though. So that also stops Parhelion from coming back. So, my takeaways from here. I got the deck up on my screen. I'll share it with you. I'll share my screen with you so that you don't get a delay.
Sure.
Alright. So, well, you were piloting the deck. So why don't let's go over your thoughts first.
Sure.
I think we could both agree that, like, that's probably correct.
Yeah.
It's either that or we lean more into it. Right?
Yeah, and honestly, we were talking about Scavenging Ooze or Lion Sash, and I think both would be good options. If we wanted to keep the plains, the white count where it's at, I think it would be right to play Lion Sash, and maybe even to some extent a number in the main deck. The most unimpressive card was Huatli's Raptor. Very powerful card in the right situation. The vigilance and proliferate, and because proliferate is huge, especially if you have a Hardened Scales, even just one Hardened Scales or Conclave Mentor on the battlefield, and you already have the +1/+1 counters payoffs. And it doesn't get worse at the end of the game, provided that you're successfully doing your game plan.
Yeah.
It's even good with Pelt Collector because you can
Yeah.
stack the triggers in such a way that you can, double the counters on Pelt Collector.
Yeah, it's
Um,
basically the same as curving a conclave mentor, but like it has that late game where you can just
it-
like do the thing where you have a bunch of counters on stuff and you could just like proliferate and maybe get 2 or 3 counters extra on everything.
yeah. That being said, more often than not, I found it underwhelming. I was,
Mm-hmm.
either like willingly shipping it or drawing it in a
Mm-hmm.
situation where literally any other card in the deck would be better.
Sure.
And if we're leaning more into white with, say, Lion Sash, I would feel better playing a card that's all white instead of one that requires white and green on two.
Sure. Because, like, so from my perspective, just like kind of given your impressions, it feels like it's more accurate to call this like a 4 drop than it is a 2
Yes,
drop. And, like, when you start
yeah.
looking at it through that lens, it seems like horrendously unplayable.
No, yeah, and that's the thing. If you're viewing it from the perspective of when you're playing it,
Yeah.
it's not very good.
So on
Um,
paper, like, there's like there's like the magic, the Christmas land of curving Pelt Collector into this, and just having like at that point a shittier Conclave mentor. Like
yes.
I would feel better about like going into Abzan and playing Winding Constrictor than playing this card. I think
Yeah,
like
because
that
at
even
least
seems more reasonable.
yeah, the fact is it's a one shot that we have no way, and we have no way of like blinking it, reusing it, anything like that. What it gives us in vigilance, I don't really think is worth it. Like the floor is a 2/3 with vigilance for two different
Mm-hmm.
colored manas, which isn't terrible on paper, but in practice it doesn't cut it.
Okay. All right. So Watley's Raptor would not make the second draft. Any other cards that you
Um,
had the bad
gosh,
impressions of?
yeah, I'm not gonna necessarily say I had a bad impression of it, because there weren't really any other options. But boy, oh boy, do I wish Overgrown Farmland was actually. You know what? Yeah, Sun Petal Grove. I just wish I had the wild cards for Sun Petal Grove.
Yeah, because it feels like with how many forests we're playing,
Yeah,
like this could easily be like where we trim 1 plains and 3 overgrown farmlands and play four copies of that would probably just be fine, right?
yeah. Ooh, actually, can I step away for just a sec?
Absolutely, you can.
Okay.
Goodness. So we'll just talk here a little bit about some upcoming content that we have. So this Thursday, due to some other stuff that was going on last week, we ended up postponing the season 4 budget battle finale. That'll be happening this Thursday. That'll be at about 6 o'clock Central, 6:30 Central, somewhere in there. You know, we do work and whatnot, so we're kind of playing around with when we can get started based off of our immediate availability. So that'll be this Thursday, and then come next Tuesday, we'll actually have a very special episode of the Gauntlet where Drabby Noobs and I will be joined by a guest challenger. Very much looking forward to bringing that to you. It's a good friend of mine who's another content creator, very local. I'll be making an announcement more on Twitter later this week as we solidify some of those details. That'll be the same format that you see here, except you'll have myself, Drabby Noops, and our very special guest talking all at once, providing you a three-way commentary, and then, of course, just absolutely grinding out some hard-fought matches. Drabby Noops, welcome back.
Hey.
All right, so we were talking about cuts that you would make just from like bad first impressions. So
Hmm.
we left off. We had talked about the plains, the Watley's Raptor, and we left off on overgrown farmland. Were there any other cards in the list that seemed either like they just didn't really work as the games played out, or anything specific?
So honestly, I like pretty much everything else in the deck.
Okay.
Aganjo's a little weird. But if we're leaning more into white, that's fine.
Okay.
It just felt awkward in like the current format that we had for the deck, and I'm willing to keep it in for draft two,
Sure.
provided that we modify the deck in such a way that it's like more relevant, easier to use, as it were.
Yeah, like so like it feels like very much in the current version like when this like we have to play this as a white land.
Yeah.
Which I do feel like unless like I feel like if we were going in the Sun Petal Grove direction, right?
Mhm.
Then it would make sense to maybe cut this for a plains. Just to ensure that we have enough plains and forests to
Yeah.
ensure it comes in untapped, which is weird because then we'd have more white sources, which a good lesson. Now, one of my favorite content creators, Jerry Thompson, talked about was how these lands are not free, especially like outside of modern.
Mhm.
Where in modern they're very free because you have like really good mana, but in formats like standard, here in Explorer, as well as even like Pioneer, definitely not free because the mana, especially in Pioneer and Explorer, is quite bad. Uh,
Yeah.
at least to the point where you may need to consider not playing the quote freebie lands. Okay, so we'll start there. So
Yeah.
we're gonna cut overgrown farmland. Just really didn't work for us. I definitely like the idea of playing Sun Petal Grove. So we'll just.
Yeah. Definitely, definitely.
I don't know why it does that. Alright, so for Sun Petal Grove, but do we want to keep the second plains? Were we leaning more into that?
I think. Well, I think it depends on what we're putting in. If we're putting pretty much any number of copies of Lion Sash, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we can still keep some of the planes.
Sure. So like we're
Um,
thinking like a
we were.
copy.
Are we doing the 4 Sun Petal Grove? That would put us up to 24 lands, would it not? And we were at 23.
Well, I also don't hate play. I feel like I've been thinking about that, and like
Mhm.
I think I like 24 lands, but like
Okay.
it's where these are like your 20. One of these is your 24th land.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So I feel like yeah, we could probably try a copy of Lion Sash and then a copy of Scavenging Ooze. I feel like you could easily play a 1-1 split. And then it definitely feels like an extra copy of Scavenging Ooze or Lion Sash would fit really well into the sideboard.
Yeah, and I mean, our hardened scales work really good with either of them, so.
Exactly, yeah. That's why I really like the idea of playing them. And then was there any other cards that you felt additional copies of this like? Because it feels like that's the other thing we could consider is like was there anything we wanted more copies of in the deck?
Wanted more of.
Because we have a lot of two ofs, right? So like,
Yeah,
would we want like another Stone Coil Serpent, another
I
Knight of
think
Autumn, or Rishkar?
I think I think Stone Coil Servant is an absolute like slam dunk of a card. I would feel very happy about playing a third, possibly even a fourth.
Okay.
Though I don't know if we're digging too deep then.
Well, I feel like you definitely don't want to draw a lot of them, right? Like,
No, no, I think three's probably the right there.
okay.
Rishkar is also very good. Even I did end up losing that game, but in a game with Hardened Scales, Conclave Mentors, in any amount, it's just a 3 mana distribute. You know, uh, you
Yeah,
know,
you give
X number.
2+1/+1 counters to two different creatures, and it's just like
Yeah, and it scales up
exactly.
with the various different effects.
Well,
So,
we even talked about that in the pre-stream deck building, where like I was like,
yes,
I think ideally we would probably be playing 3 copies of this card. As a matter of fact, I think we play 3 copies, and I think we cut the Aganjo, and just
okay,
we play 23 lands. I feel pretty confident in that.
yeah.
So I
I
like this.
did.
How did you like Fabled Passage?
So I like Fabled Passage in the sense that it interacted really, really well with Roaring Earth.
Mm-hmm.
My only problem with Roaring, so what I really like about Roaring Earth is it has that channel ability. It's
Hmm.
not just an enchantment that works well with the lands and well with your hardened scales, your conclave mentors, and all that jazz. But it also has that channel ability that allows you to be like, okay, well now I can channel this in the end. Maybe I've got a couple. Maybe I've got a Rishkar out with a few things that have
Hmm.
counters, and I make a real big dude, and that comes in with more counters because
It
of
actually
the hardened
does.
scales of
It
conk.
doesn't. It puts the
It
counters
doesn't.
on the land and then it becomes a creature. So it
Ooh.
resolves in that order. So it
Oh,
actually
okay,
doesn't
okay.
get the benefits of this, but still, nevertheless, like, because I feels like there's also scenarios where you can like channel this onto a land during your opponent's end step, right?
Yeah.
And it would be especially effective, I feel like, if you were able to channel it onto a creature land.
Oh, yeah, for
Like
sure,
a
for
lair
sure.
of the Hydra, where it's just like, well, yeah, now I just have a lair of the Hydra where I can, pay like 2 mana, and now it's a whatever, whatever, right?
Yep.
Or not even pay any mana at all. Or you just make something and then you untap, like, into play a Rishkar.
Hmm.
It's almost like it acts as like during my opponent's end step for 3 mana, I get to like turn one of my lands into a Dryad Arbor, and then like I get to buff that Dryad Arbor up on my next turn.
Yeah, true. And
That
it is good in situations too, where you don't have a creature and but you have your counter stuff. So
exactly. Or like if your opponent plays a Wrath effect,
yeah.
like this is a good way to bounce back very quickly. Where you're just like, okay, this is an instant speed thing. Another card that kind of came to mind for me, looking at the way this deck's kind of going, is there's also potential to consider playing a card like Collected Company.
Yes, and I was actually going to mention that before I left. Cuz I mean, I love me some collected company.
Feels like that
So,
at that point though we need to trim back down on cards like Stonecoil Serpent. This is a
yes,
because
and then
it's a dead hit on that.
also Roaring Earth becomes less impressive in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Agreed.
like fight rigging is still fine because you could hit the collected company off of the fight rigging and
Yeah.
potentially just massively change combat.
Yeah, we would need about 7 more hits. I feel like
Yeah.
for it to be super effective. But
It,
it is a card that you could consider leaning a deck like this to build around, right?
yes.
So like maybe not this version of the deck, but a version of the deck would play that.
Mhm.
Okay. So I think I like what we've done to the main deck. Now the sideboard. So personally, the more I've been thinking about it, I definitely like the ideas that are going on here, where we have like these just a handful of creatures that we can both sideboard in, as well as maybe potentially wish up with Vivian.
Mhm.
Which we now even have a Scavenging Ooze added to that mix. I cut the Return to Nature for
Okay.
it. I also felt like I'm just trying to think of like there's another card that came to mind that could help us. Is Shaper's Sanctuary. So,
Okay,
so
yeah.
this is a really, really good card against decks like that Rakdos midrange, where like their game plan is to 1-for-1, and now you turn everything into a 0-for-1, where all they're
Yep.
doing is trading mana with you. So it feels like we could maybe trim one of these questing beasts, the extra Buseju, and just like get like 2 copies of that in. It's also really good in Sacrifice because like it triggers on abilities as well. So like Mayhem Devil killing your stuff makes you draw cards.
Yes.
So it definitely feels like that's like a card that you could very easily include in here, just to like give yourself a little bit of an edge against like what decks are doing. And do we think we still need Unlicensed Hearse?
I'm not entirely sure.
I don't.
I don't
I
I
think
don't know.
one is not bad, but like
Yeah.
because like it's 0 mana to activate, where like these cost one. So like
Yeah.
definitely different, but maybe we just don't need all like both because
Yeah.
that leaves us with one, two, three, four things of graveyard hate.
Yeah, and I definitely am not going to discount the idea that maybe later in the game it's exiled 6 cards and I have a fight rigging and then I
Mm-hmm.
crew it. So,
Sure. Yeah, and there's also like I think we could just play like a copy of Weathered Runestone. So this is very similar to Grafdigger's Cage, except it checks non-land permanents coming into play from the graveyard. So it stopped things like Cauldron's Familiar, but also Collected Company, and then also Parhelion, which is quite nice, as well as casting spells from graveyards and libraries. Not as big of a thing in this format, but also not a non-zero thing. Shuts off a Torrential Gearhulk in a pinch.
Yep. And
So
additionally, it covers it on two fronts, but Escape is casting from the graveyard.
yes, that is also that's a very relevant mode actually.
Yeah, you see, because you could still cast it if you had like something with a cast trigger, if you needed to exile things for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even do that. You can't even pay the cost. You're just
Yeah,
not allowed to cast it.
exactly. Well, Grafdigger's Cage stops that too, but
Oh, does it? Okay.
it says you can't cast spells from your graveyard.
Gotcha.
It was meant to stop. One of its designs was meant to stop flashback stuff.
Oh yeah, I suppose Innistrad.
Yeah. So I definitely like what we've done here with the changes. Now I'm taking a wild guess because I know you don't have Sun Petal Groves that you wouldn't be able to play any games with this. So
Yeah,
otherwise I'd offer to let you play any rematches that you'd want to play.
Where you have 15. What additional card did we take out of the sideboard? Was it one Questing Beast?
One Questing Beast, one Return to Nature also came out.
Okay, what are we missing here total? I'm gonna check my I'm gonna check here and see how many I'm missing with this updated version. Where are you? Okay, I am missing. Wow, we upped it by 7 rares.
We did.
Here. Yeah, I do not have enough spare stuff to do 7 rares. I can maybe do like
That's all right.
I could maybe do like 2 or 3, but
what I think we'll do is we'll co-commentate. We're gonna play a ranked match.
okay, sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So the Gauntlet series is technically meant to show off whether a deck has what it takes to hang on the ladder. Now I don't, as you can tell by my silver ranking, I don't really play the ladder all that much anymore. But we'll take this onto the ladder and see if we can't just like play this out. So we're on the play. This is so close to a keep that it's not even funny. I actually think I do keep it. No.
Yeah, no, you're got only 42% chance of drawing a land. It's got to be over 50 if I were to keep this.
If this was a basic forest, I would keep this.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot to swap that out for a lair.
I actually don't dislike it being what it is.
Okay.
I feel like it's the Gearhulk has to
Oh
go
no,
back.
yeah, absolutely. There's just way too much upside to the Great Henge here.
I'm gonna play the scales down first. It feels like it's the harder to answer thing. It does tell them. I mean, to be fair, Pelt Collector tells them exactly. Oh, we're up against Rakdos stuff.
Ooh.
This feels like they're just gonna take our Great Henge and try to beat us 1-for-1. Which, to be fair, we mulliganed against a Thoughtseize deck, so we lost this in mulliganing. I mean, though, this is the reality of the ladder, though. It's that you're going to probably play against Rakdos something. I would say about 3,000% of the time. I'm not too surprised by that, actually, thinking about how this is going to play out. Because, like, if this Great Henge... If they just never let us have a creature...
Yeah, true.
Like, how long are we realistically going to... We're never going to play this Great Henge.
Yeah.
Attack for 2. Stop it? No? Okay. Interesting. They shocked and did nothing. So they're junned, from the looks of it. Meat hook where X is 1, sure.
Okay.
It's actually quite good because it's going to come down as a 4/4.
Yeah.
We're 1 green source away from this Vivian just like really wreaking havoc on our opponent. Okay, well. Nothing we can really do about this. Like, we're just in the mid-range soup. Now, this won't get to do anything with its plus, but this does have a wish mode on it, so
Yeah.
very relevant. Plus, like, now if we top deck a creature, we can go to put counters on it, or use it to potentially fight something. Oh, never mind. They just get us with the
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
The charm.
So our opponent is just playing Rakdos pile of cards. I'm sorry, Jund pile of cards.
Ooh. Okay. Interesting.
I think we hold this Roaring Earth. I don't think we can
Yeah.
channel it either, but like, because like they just have a pile of removal in their hand. Well, that's disgusting. All right. Well, I'm fairly confident that we're about to lose. Dragon Oops.
Oh
Our
yeah.
opponent just drew 3 cards. Yeah, whatever. They can have the Roaring Earth. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, this is probably like the worst thing we could be playing against most of the time. But it definitely feels like our sideboard is set up to like not be like so dead here. Play your shock land, play your Fable. There you go, you figured it out. They drew 3 cards. Riveteer's Charm is a hell of a Magic card.
Oh yeah.
Like I would not be surprised if that starts to see a bit more play. Well, they very clearly have something, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just like a stomp or something. Sure would be nice if our opponent like played faster. Yeah, I'm willing just to go to the next game here. This is an exercise in futility. Alright, so a few things we could be doing here. So it feels like these are an in.
Yeah.
And these are an in. And I feel like the first thing we should do is we have to look at what we're playing and think about what threats are the best against them. So they're likely playing a card like Kolaghan's Command, so we can. I think what we do is we go cheap. So like we can cut like the Gear Hulks because they're just like too slow.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we cut the Roaring Earth because we can never channel it, and we realistically just don't need to play it. And we can probably actually cut 1 copy of Hardened Scales. And the only thing that's a little scary is if they're playing Hidetsugu Consumes All.
Oh yeah, true.
I feel like I even want to cut like a copy of Fight Rigging. Just cut both the Fight Riggings.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure fight rigging is gonna.
Well, it just feels like we're not gonna get to the point where we're casting anything.
Yeah, no.
I think I'm gonna cut even a Vivian and bring in 1 copy of Yasharn. And then I think I'm gonna leave the haste threats in the board. But we got Shaper's Sanctuary, we've got Snakeskin Veil. We could play a game of pivoting around removal pretty easily here. Go first. This hand is unplayable.
Yeah, that's.
This hand is the same hand but worse.
Wow.
But I'm still gonna keep it, just not very happy about it. I think I actually put the plains on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
If we draw a 1-mana creature, this is gonna be really, really good.
Yeah.
But if our opponent like, we're gonna just draw nothing as well. Died to mana problems. 2-mana creature. That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's about as good as it gets, actually, but this would have been so much better if it was just a Shaper Sanctuary, but well, sure.
Oh boy. Alright, well, as long as we don't. Oh boy. As long as we don't brick on lands. Or
Yeah, at
brick
this
on
point,
plates.
like we're pretty insulated against like a Thoughtseize.
Yeah.
As well as we're just playing big threats now. So like this is what our deck's meant to do. Like play 2 big threats that they can't kill and the game is over.
Yep.
Now we're on the draw. There's a chance they have Thoughtseizes in on the draw. I don't think I want to change anything, though.
Yeah, I don't. I think our choices were accurate. It's just gonna depend on, you know, the draws.
Yeah, like, there's definitely, like, you know, like, that hand on the draw would have been, like, we could have just lost to, like, a Thoughtseize. I mean, this is, like, really good.
Yeah, that's.
We don't have a white source for this Conclave Mentor. They got a Thoughtseize for me? Nope. Knight of the Ebon Legion.
Wow.
It really is just a Rakdos pile of cards. I feel like this Hardened Scales is more valuable.
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, we can drop the Serpent, so...
Yeah, like... God, this deck would be so much better with Razorverge Thicket in it.
Yeah.
And, oh, interesting. That's a sign that they just didn't have enough to bring in. Okay, that was actually a really good draw.
Yeah,
So the sad truth, though, is they can start activating that thing. I feel like it's just play a 3/3 Stone Coil Serpent here.
I'm kind of thinking so as well. I don't think there's
Like, there's a world where I want to play Conclave Mentor, but, like... Like, sadly, this just, like, if they have, like, Fatal Push plus a... Like, they go, like, Fatal Push, eat our thing, attack us for 4, like, then we're just, like... Pretty much, like, we just fell, like, light years behind. Which, by the way, Chad, never call your shots. Oh, that's even worse. So now they're both gonna get counters, yeah. I'll be honest, I didn't expect to be playing against Knight of the Ebon Legion, so...
Yeah, that was,
wasn't exactly what I would call, like, the first choice of decks we would see, but... I think here, I was just gonna go a little wide.
Yeah, I mean, it... 3/3 for 1, too, so...
Like, what we can do here is we can block this 3/3, they'll probably pump one of these... These will trade. Now it just looks like they have another removal spell. So yeah, that's just...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we lost. This game's over. It's over by like a million miles.
Yeah, just the mountain of removal.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we saw none of these aggressive elements in games 1 or 2.
That's true.
I can't, like, say anything about that because it's like, we played to be the beatdown deck and we got by not being the beatdown, by them being a beatdown deck on the play, not the control deck.
No, they it does seem like I don't know if they pivoted specifically for game 3 or we just never saw that pivot in game 2, but yeah, game 1 had no indication that
neither game did.
They
just like, we didn't see a Knight of the Ebon Legion or any other one drop, so that felt very much like, if I had to, like, guess, like, especially because we're in the silver queue, that was, like, pile of Jund Brew, and, like, they have 2, like, distinctively different halves of their deck, and, like, it was, like, we only saw it, like, and don't get me wrong, like, I'm not endorsing that type of deck building, matter of fact, by and large, it will lose you more games than it will win you, but, you know, in matchups like this, where, like, we're playing a deck that's, like, very much... I wouldn't call this a good deck by, like, the definitions of the format. This is a really unfortunate hand. I'm actually gonna put Pelt Collector down here.
Yeah.
Fetch up a Forest and play a turn 2 Mentor, or even probably, like, actually a turn 2 Roaring Earth.
Yeah, turn 2 Roaring Earth, Mentor into land.
Yeah. Could also consider bottoming this Scavenging Ooze. That wouldn't be bad either. Yeah, I think I'll go with the original line we had in mind. Island. That could mean, like, so many different things. It's fine. If they go Spectral Adversary or Spectral Sailor, can we just concede?
I'm down with it. I don't even want to sit through that.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, they didn't do it. Oh, it's even worse. It's just blue-white control. Censor me, daddy. Censor me. Kill me. I want to die. The actual worst kind of Magic the Gathering. By the way, people who play Control, like, relentlessly on the ladder, like, can you just not? Because I'm gonna be honest, like, you should really, like, get a life.
I I I played against someone earlier today when I was um playing my original deck, which then I realized was just the deck we played 2 weeks ago, but with an extra color, uh, and their name was UW wanted to play question mark. As it turns out, did not have a very fun game with that person.
No. Matter of fact, I will actually go as far as to say, chat, this is just some helpful advice for the people wanting to build decks at home. Control decks are usually terrible in these formats. Um, like, I know they look good, and it feels good when you win with them, but they are, I would say, about, yeah, I don't even want to play. Like, they are, on average, the worst thing you can be doing. Especially if you're not super experienced. Because that's another aspect I feel like a lot of people don't realize is like, I mean, I think it's less so in Explorer and Pioneer because your deck your deck's cards choices suck so bad that like you can only do like 2 things a turn. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just like you're like because a lot of the cards you play in Blue Eye Control and Pioneer and Explorer are cards that you don't want to play. They are cards you have to play. Otherwise, your deck is quite literally unplayable. So like it definitely is a big aspect of these decks. And another thing is that I make a joke sometimes when I'm playtesting with people for various formats when they bring Control to testing, and I look at them in the eye and I tell them you are not Guillaume Wafotapa. Put that shit away. Like you're on average you're going to lose more than you win unless you are super experienced with a control deck. And also like if you're playing for volume like on the ladder like don't play control because you're never gonna rank up. Like
If you're, I mean, I understand that if there are people out there that like that style deck, whatever. But back in the arena beta when the budget deck was uh Re- Approach of the Second Sun, and I was playing without putting any money whatsoever. Like I put a little money now, but no money whatsoever. I just hated my life all the time playing the deck.
yeah, like I don't think it's a fun deck to play. Like I will tell you, and I'm a person who took Approach to the Second Sun Blue Eye Control to like a professional tournament. I'm like, and I had a good time. I went undefeated in constructed, but like, it's just like there's a big part of that that it was like I'm not enjoying the type of Magic that I'm playing.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, the classic. My opponent has flyers and I do not match up.
Uh, oh god, he's got two though. So he's probably got the friggin' counter spell, the spirit counter spell.
I mean, if he did, I'm sure they would have countered that Hardened scales, but
Oh, that's fair enough. Nice.
they probably have a Brazen Borrower though, right? Brazy B, bounce my thing. Yeah, this is so much fun. Magic is a wonderful game. You remember when this was the deck in Standard and like most people just quit playing? That was a good time.
I do in fact remember that.
Magic was a different game back then. Alright, triggers.
Pretty much any time there's like a flash deck, that has happened where it's just like, oh wow,
Oh yeah, as
how
it
come
turns
no?
out, threats plus permission make people not want to play. Who would have guessed that very interactive playstyle? I remember when they spoiled Rewind in that format, and like people like went online and we're not even talking like Joe Schmo, like people like Luis Scott Vargas are just like, why? Like this, nothing about this card is fun for anybody. Like especially in a format where you have a bunch of power 4 drops in the blue green deck, like this is very much a case of like know your audience, and your audience doesn't want to play that shit. Oh, finally we drew a Stone Coil Serpent just in time for it to get counterspelled. Well, we're gonna play a Stone Coil Serpent, and they're gonna bounce it or counter it. So let's go like X is 4. Play around the Jwari Disruption / Censor, but I don't think we can play around a Geist Late Snare.
Fair enough. Okay. So the plan is just, oh, I mean that has reach.
Yeah, it does have reach. That's why I was like, that's a good draw. Like,
Yeah.
and so now we can block Shacklegeist.
Yeah. Do you have a creature in your grave?
No, we have no creatures in the graveyard.
Okay. I was gonna say otherwise we could eat it.
They could also tap it by tapping it with Supreme Phantom, using the Shacklegeist ability. But it definitely feels like we're also like getting to this point where like if they do that and I just like untap, like I can just like trample over them to kill them.
Yeah.
So they're really putting, they're going kind of all in on this idea that they're gonna draw a way to bounce my stuff. And it sort of tells me, because I feel like if you were going to, if you had a bounce spell in your hand, you would just bounce it and kill us here.
Yeah.
So this tells me that they don't have that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me in this situation if you had the answer to hold it, unless you're just being like a supreme dick.
Enters the battlefield or attacks, and exile a card from a graveyard. You may look at the top. Oh, sure.
Aha, got him.
Yeah, I just won't let them have anything. We've got 4 toughness.
I mean, if you can't play around it, do you just want to slam it?
Oh, I'm just thinking. Do I? Because this Hashep Oasis is also available to me.
That's true.
So 2, 4. So if they block a 2/2, they die. So they have to block 4 damage. So if I buff up this like Stone Coil Serpent, they're just dead. And that plays around counter magic. I mean, if they have a bounce spell, they have a bounce spell and they win. But like, they don't.
All right.
Listen, chat. You don't just give up because you're playing against mono blue. Most of the time, they don't actually have it. Alright, this is also a matchup with these cards. Because we can play a similar game plan to them, except, you know, we got, like, shifting Ceratops. It's definitely a matchup where I would love to have more copies of that, but I'm going to cut these. So we don't really have ways to, like, attack that side. I am going to bring in the Knight of Autumn, because just, like, popping their Obsession is particularly helpful. Roaring Earth feels like it's kind of a freebie. Same with a Vivian and the Gearhulks. Like, they're all powerful, but they get hit with counter spells way too easily. Shadow Spear is a nice one, just being able to give trample to, like, a big threat. And lifelink, because you can beat them by just like beating them to death with a big lifelink threat. And I feel like I can even cut like just one more Vivian, like. So like this is definitely a matchup where like if we can like get a Shaper Sanctuary down and then like like snakeskin veil something when they go to bounce it. Like we can really set ourselves up for like a huge swing. I mean,
Okay.
this is the exact hand I want, so.
Yeah.
So this is Shock Llanowar Elves. And even if they bounce it, I can just like deploy it again.
Yeah.
Also, like at that point, like I don't even care. They just have no 1-mana thing. Okay. Got a counterspell for me? No? Okay. I'm just gonna play the Hardened Scales. At this point, I'm just gonna make them use their mana on something that isn't a threat. Okay, it's a Rattle Chains.
Okay.
Sure. You got it. It is a little scary because it gives all of their spirits flash. So now they can, like, flash in a Supreme Phantom. And also, like, bluff a counterspell at the same time. Brutal. I really wish that was something that wasn't a Pelt Collector.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a counterspell, they got a counterspell. Yep.
Okay.
I mean, there's nothing we can do about it, right? So.
No, no.
Yeah, we really, really, really needed to draw like a Conclave Mentor or any, like something that was cheap. Wow, I'm shocked they would bother playing that right away, but maybe they don't realize it as flash, or they have another land. Nope, no additional. Jesus Christ. Well, we're gonna lose, but not because like our deck was like not functioning.
Yeah, it was.
Actually, I should have just swung with everything there, but. We had a window to like draw like a more meaningful thing, but we just didn't get it. So we're on a 2-turn clock. Still on a 2-turn clock. Just now a 2-turn clock where they have a blocker for the crackback. I don't really think we have an out here, if I'm being honest. Like,
Yeah, it's not looking great.
that was quite terrible. Game where we did not draw any payoffs. Do we want to do anything differently on the play is one question. I feel like I want to bring in another copy of Vivian on the play. What do I bring out? I probably bring out... I actually think I even cut like a single Llanowar Elves. Maybe not on the play. Probably like a single Fight Rigging. Yeah. Fight Rigging's powerful, but it's not going to win games in this matchup. Okay.
That is... Yeah.
This is a hand. It's got elements of things that we want, elements of things that we need. Play this on green. Probably just jam a Shaper Sanctuary right away.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So they don't have counter magic for our turn 2 play. It's been like the one time where having the turn 1 Pelt Collector would have been fucking nuts. But like... Alright, deck. Like... Give me something good. Okay. 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 Alright, give me like anything. Oh, now we're in a window where it's like anything isn't good enough.
Yeah.
Now it's like now I want to draw like they gotta have the not. So now we're in a position sadly where like we only drew the counters payoffs, and we can't even cast this stupid fucking Vivian, of course. That's what we get for playing the 2 planes.
Man, even after leaning a little more into white, we're
Yeah,
punished.
I'm regretting the decision. Like, I don't think you can play 2 planes in a deck with Vivian Arcbow Ranger, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, they just have... No, they just have flash threats for the rest of the game, and we got a fuck ton of nothing, so... Yeah, I don't think there's a way we win here. Like, it sounds like very, like, Doomsday-ish, but, like, if they have any number of counter spells in their hand, like...
Yeah.
I think I play this for 1, because it plays around 1 copy of Geistlight Snare. Boom, got him with the 4/4. That tells me they don't have 2 Geistlight Snares, though. That's something.
Yeah.
Sure, they got Spectral Sailor. And if they bounce this, like, we get to draw 2 cards, so... I think that's what they're thinking about, yep.
Yeah.
Alright.
I like how you have to be like, yes, I want to draw a card.
I love how there's not an always yes option.
Yeah.
Couldn't have just ripped the Snakeskin Veil like a pro Magic player there.
I've done that before. That feels real good.
Yeah, no, it's like, that's like, so 4, 3, 7, 9, 10. This can put me to 1, 2. Alright, and they even get to hold up 2 mana. Yep. Can I just say I will never understand why they gave that card Vigilance?
Yeah, I didn't even know it had Vigilance until I just saw that attack there. Because I've just, never...
Show me a counterspell.
Show me potato salad.
Yep, that's the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a classic right there of a, green beatdown deck losing to the mono blue tempo deck. Not surprised, admittedly. Because, like, the way we would beat a deck like that is so very specific that there is no proper way I would say you could play around that.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, in my experience, like, the only way we would win that matchup is by playing, like, cards that aren't legal in this format. Like Skylasher and, like, can't be countered, flying and or reach, protection or hexproof from blue cards.
Yeah.
And even then, if they're packing, like, Aether Gusts, like, it wouldn't matter. So, definitely an unfortunate set of matches there. So, I think ultimately my takeaway on the Challenger deck is that it's a deck with a lot of upside, but I feel like it's a deck that Magic has left behind.
Yeah. I mean, I do feel like there's also... You gotta consider, too, like, when they're theoretically, they're designing for their constructed formats. But looking at some of these cards, you also realize, well, I mean, clearly this is very good in Commander. And counters is such a popular Commander theme, and most Commander players are, not... Man, I'm trying... I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say here, but, like, if a counters deck is a viable tournament Magic deck, it's very likely the cards will be too expensive for the kind of people that want to play them in Commander, and it'll, like, drive them away, and they don't want to do that because it's the biggest market.
Like, it feels like... Because, like, I think Conclave Mentor is a perfect example of this. This card was clearly designed for limited.
Yes.
Like, this is the limited archetype defining card.
Oh, yeah, there's a very limited card.
And, like, there's a big thing, like, its only parallel, really, was Winding Constrictor. Winding Constrictor, way too good in Constructed at times. It's, like, for, like, a little while there, where Black Greed, Constrictor, 4-color Constrictor, there's a bunch of different Constrictor decks. That card was designed for both limited and constructed. or this was definitely not. So like my impression here is that I feel like what this deck's theme is not nearly close to the power level of the format. Ultimately, it has high upside, but really a really low floor. So it's a very polarized deck. So it definitely feels like there's things going on here that are good, but they're not good enough.
Yeah.
And
No,
some of the things are good, but just are better elsewhere.
mm-hmm.
Like fight rigging, for example, and Great Henge.
Yeah.
But even the
I
even the fight rigging deck is, I would describe it exactly the same way.
yeah, I do feel like too, like even if we were to be, like okay, let's start over and let's do Winding Constrictor instead. At least as far as the arena card base goes, I don't even think we're getting that far with that.
No, I feel like if we were to build that deck, it would look very similar to this. I feel like that deck would have a better game against something like Mono Blue Spirits, because you just get to play
Yeah.
like fatal pushes, right?
Yeah.
Like, but like at that point, you're more of like this like you're playing black green mid range, which is already not good in the format,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just like building a sub theme into it. So like it feels like you're playing a deck that wants raw power level at that point, which we don't have the cards to do that. So you're trying to
Yeah.
make up for it with synergy, which is what that's also what the fight rigging deck is. It's like I'm a black green mid range deck. I don't have raw powerful threats, so I will play synergistic powerful threats. And then you just run into this problem of like, well, if I draw a pile of removal and half of my synergy based build around, then my deck just kind of sucks. And
Mm-hmm.
this is like that same thing, except it's like all in, and it still draws the wrong half of its deck sometimes, and it has no way to realistically fix it. I do think that's where like a collected company would come into play.
Yeah.
So it definitely feels like there is a deck here, but I don't even think Green White Counters Company would be the right place to play that. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
probably like at that point you just play Angels or whatever,
Yeah.
because that would
Yeah.
just be better.
Yeah, if you were also, yeah, if you're a lot of times we our focus here is like this isn't the budget.
No,
This
we're
isn't the
trying to see if decks are viable on the ladder.
yeah, but despite budget or not, it doesn't mean you want to just throw away your cash.
Exactly, because Arena is not cheap, so we play the bad deck so you don't have to.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Yes, because I happen to have pretty much every card, so I can play virtually anything we want. But yeah, we're looking at this from the lens of I this is a deck that if you, our viewer, were thinking about trying, or like you like say you love playing with hardened scales in modern, you want to get into arena, or you just love +1/+1 counters as a commander player and you want to get into arena, I will tell you this: spend your money on literally anything else, because money's tight for everybody right now, and the last thing you can afford to be doing is putting it in the wrong places for your hobbies.
Yeah, and we don't have an option right now to versus in historic brawl. But if you're just getting into arena and you want to be free, you can build budget historic brawls deck and still play to your favorite theme, depending on
Mm-hmm.
how rare intensive that theme is.
Sure.
But I can tell you right now, I can build a relatively good counters deck for well within our normal rare budget for the budget battle series, and probably under.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I could see that.
because as you can see here, I mean, Roaring Earth, Conclave Mentor, um, like these are all not rares. You're probably looking, okay, I want to get my my hardened scales in there. I maybe I'm playing a 3-color deck and I want to also play Winding Constructor, but the actual rares you need are relatively limited for those formats.
No, I agree. I definitely think that's more often than not a better use of, like, say, uh, you know, you the viewers, especially if you're one of our free to play viewers. Historic Brawl, for all of its imperfections, it's still probably the most casual way to play Arena. Um, and it has power level based pairings based on your commander. So if you are playing like hyper budget commander, you will likely be paired against other people playing hyper budget commander decks, which is really
Yeah.
really nice actually, because that
Yes,
makes
and
that gives you like where it kind of avoids that level 0 conversation, right? Which
yeah.
if it was just true open play in the play queue for that format, I feel like it would be like unplayable for anybody who doesn't just have every card.
Oh yeah, and you can absolutely too get paired up into more powerful decks if you're
Oh yeah,
performing well. But that's always a
yes,
good sign. That means your deck has legs. Your play has
exactly.
legs.
That's
So
exactly right.
it's like if you start playing against it's I have played absolute I have one up right now. I have my modified deck, and this one's a little rare intensive because I had the cards already.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, my commander is Grumgully. That's an uncommon. Most of my cards, and it's historic, so you got a lot of these uncommon, common historic cards, which are just kind of good with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up getting paired up against Golos, which is just as good in historic brawl as it is in
Or
commander,
was
and it
in
got banned in
commander.
commander.
Well,
Yeah,
then
or
it
was in
got
commander.
banned because it was like the best casual commander.
It was the best. So it was the best 5-color commander. You had no other reason to play any other commander, not even Essica, which is also an amazing 5-color commander.
Mm-hmm.
Even even in CEDH, people would rather play that over the first sliver, which is like the number one 5-color commander because it just has a cascade trigger attached to it,
Mm-hmm.
which is just free value,
Yeah, but like
free real
Golos can
estate.
like just represent drawing like 3 cards, but also ramping you up to 7, getting something like a Field of the Dead or a Valakut or a Miria, whatever it
Yeah,
might be.
yeah,
Yeah, it definitely feels like the utility of a Golos is probably more valuable than a random 4 drop or less.
yeah. So
Especially
it's
if you're playing like true CDH, chances are you have a lot of cards you don't even want to cascade into.
mm-hmm. So it was just too good. And then you don't have to worry about Field of the Dead and Brawl, by the way.
It's banned,
Historic
right?
Brawl that got banned. That got banned.
I'm
It's
sure it'll get
part of the
rebalanced.
reason. I mean, it could. I mean, if it has it been rebalanced?
No, it
Because
hasn't yet.
yeah, like if they rebalance it, they'll probably bring it back. But I mean, that's part of the reason why like there's not as many broken things with Golos in Historic Brawl just because of the lesser card pool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
So I wanted to bring this up because it's
sure.
so they rebalanced cards today.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured we bring it up since we were talking about it. So
Sure.
we'll close on this topic. So they actually did some rebalances, and for those historic players out there, some of these were specifically for historic.
Yeah.
Interesting. So we nerfed Cauldron Familiar, put the camp block on it, which does make this a lot worse. Because it like the whole like thing that makes this so powerful is where you block sacrifice it. So it definitely makes the Rakdos decks more aggressive, but also susceptible to more aggression. Where Cauldron Familiar would seal up a lot of aggro matchups. They also took away the gain life portion of a of Meathook Massacre.
Interesting. That is one I didn't see. Okay.
So they kind of did the same thing they did with Sanguine
With
Brushstroke, where
Brushstroke,
they took
yeah.
off the gain life. Because and if you read their yeah, it's basically just that it dominated creature decks.
Yeah.
Like between these two things, like small creature decks stood no chance. I really thought Dragon's Rage Chandler's change was interesting as well, where now it just becomes a 3/1 instead of a 3/3.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it more susceptible to cheap removal, as well as the Cat Oven decks have a better time against it. And they also made Unholy Heat deal 4, which, by the way, it probably should have always dealt 4. There's no reason for this card to be dealing 6 damage, even in Modern.
Yeah.
It is absolutely, yeah, too easily undermines Red's weakness to large creatures. Yeah, I think everybody said that as soon as it was printed. But more interestingly, Winota unbanned in Historic. And it was designed the way it probably should have been designed, where it only triggers once.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turns out, wasn't hard to fix this one. I don't know why it took this long.
I will say, the change on Channeler too also feels more red.
Yeah,
A
like
lot
it
of
didn't
times,
make sense for it to get like more toughness.
yeah, like when red has big creatures, they cost a lot of mana. So the idea of and small creatures that gain buffs almost always gain them in attack, and if they gain them in toughness, it's always
Hmm.
less.
Yeah, like this feels
Like
more akin to a lightning berserker now.
yeah, it's I like it because it just feels more red.
Yes, I think this is both a flavor win, but also helps rebalance it power level wise. Because I'll tell
Yep.
you, as a person who plays a lot of Modern and plays a lot of Dragon's Rage Chandler in Modern, as well as Unholy Heat, when they spoiled these cards for Historic, I was like, fucking why? Like, why would you put these in a format that isn't Modern? These were designed for Modern, and they got out of hand really quickly. And then this was Grinning Ingus, Banned in Alchemy. First ever Banned in Alchemy card.
Yes.
Probably. We talked about this. Like, there's not a good way to rebalance some cards. And they actually
Mm-hmm.
talk about this here. But, like, we discussed rebalancing and may do so at a future date, so they left it open ended. But each change they considered would effectively eliminate the combo. So basically, what their logic was here is no matter how we nerf this, it becomes unplayable. So we'll just
Yep.
ban it instead. Because at the very least, then that because like you're gonna get like your wild cards back or whatever. So your four
Yeah.
uncommon wild cards. But like I would, that's the mentality I want to see from them. Where it's
Yes.
like because I think another good example of a card that might see this treatment in historic is Luris at some
Mm-hmm.
point. Like, because Luris is banned in Pioneer and in Modern, so it's only a matter of time in Historic that something happens to it. And it feels like,
Yeah.
if you make it a 2-1, it's too weak to mean anything on the board, because it just dies to cards like Spikefield Hazard. If you make it a 4-drop, it becomes too weak in that it just costs too much. Like, in Modern, you could kind of justify 4 mana in a deck building sense, but, like, it would definitely be worse, but you have Mishra's Bauble to like play with it.
Mm-hmm.
Where in this format, like you're playing 1 mana things. If you buy it on turn 3, play it on turn 4, you're doing nothing with it. So it's just like that would effectively make it unplayable. You could make an argument that making it a 2-1 just makes it easier to kill, but it's already pretty easy to kill at 2 toughness. So it's just like
Yeah.
I definitely like I'm hoping that at some point when they do eventually decide to ban Luris or try to rebalance it, that this is the mentality we see come through. Because I think I would prefer this in these digital formats. Because this at least like sends the right message. So like, well, we acknowledge that if we nerf this in any way, it effectively bans the card. So we'll just ban the card. Like, because
Yeah.
at that point, because if you soft ban it, then you've done the quiet thing out loud where you're just not wanting to give people their wild cards back. Where this is like, as weird as it is, banning things that if nerfing something makes something unplayable, banning it is the more player-friendly option.
Yeah.
So,
True.
because at the very least you're very clear in your messaging, and you'll give things like refunds. And then they gave funnily enough, a bunch of +1/+1 counter stuff buffs.
Oh, that's funny.
Like
Okay.
Fall of the Imposter was probably the most notable one, where it went
Yeah.
down to 2 mana, and now it's like a fairly effective way of pumping up a bunch of stuff, but also exiling something. Same with Gnarlid Colony. Now it's a 6/6 when you kick it. Then there was this, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. They basically just buffed up so again, I just want to point out though, they buffed up a bunch of cards that were unplayable before and are probably still unplayable. Except for this card. So Mentor's Guidance is a really interesting one that I saw. So it's effectively an opt, right, for 2 mana. For it
Yep.
was originally 3 mana, but now it's when you cast this spell, copy it if you control a planeswalker, cleric, druid, shaman, warlock, or wizard. Notice that's not and, it's or. So if you have one of those
Yeah.
5 creature types or a planeswalker, it's effectively scry 2, draw 2 for 2 mana.
Yeah.
And it's obviously they're split up in their scries, but that's honestly better. In some
Mm-hmm.
cases, at least. I also noticed I didn't look at all of these. It looks like quality of life changes. They designed this card so that it doesn't exile itself when it enters. And this card now says just non-land on it. Yeah, a lot of this stuff,
Oh, yeah.
like, feels very much... Like, I don't think Rowan and Will got any better. I think most of these cards are still by and large unplayable. Shock and
Mhm.
awe. Like, just like all those other cards they buffed up before. Like the Warriors and Elves. Like, turns out none of them even remotely playable. Uh, Again, begs the question of who is this format for? Because I don't even think this card's playable when it's all said and done, even with its current. Just feels like there's better
Yeah.
things to be
Mm.
doing. But they're slowly making those party decks slightly better. All right, I think we can
I,
wrap it for the night, though. Unless, did you have
yeah.
thoughts on these?
No, no, I was just gonna go on a rant about party and how it wasn't in the D&D set again, but
Right? You'd think, yeah, party would make sense in the D&D sale. Honestly, I think we can go both off on rants about these sets. Is that
yeah.
they make these Dungeons and Dragons sets. They don't include adventures in the standard set. Understandable. They were pretty broken the
Hmm.
first time around. I get why they didn't include that. They didn't include party, which they had in standard support for, and it was a
Yeah.
mechanic clearly designed around a Dungeons and Dragons themed plane called Zendikar that would have made sense
Yep.
for the Dungeons and Dragons IP set. So they don't include it there. They don't include adventure. They don't even they have the venture mechanic, which was cool but underpowered. They clearly overvalued it, being fearful that it would be
Yeah.
the next energy, which I get
Also,
being afraid of that. Go ahead.
also explore.
Yeah, like you could have the
Y-
explore mechanic come back. Like there's like a boatload of returning mechanics that would have all made sense and would have like kind of like incidentally made older cards like more fun to play.
Yeah. Also, explore in Zendikar, like not even just D&D. Like Zendikar would have made sense because the plane is constantly shifting. They have to update their maps like every single week.
Exactly. Like there's a bunch of mechanics that they could have easily reused, but honestly, part of it makes me feel like they so like with the Dungeons and Dragons set, they like really went in on that D20 like rolling dice theme.
Yes.
And in all honesty, I absolutely hate that mechanic because all it does is like those cards will either be like where they have like a good mode that happens most of the time and then like only upside. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's a draw 2, but I can rely on it to be a draw 1, right? Like that's kind of like the way I think about it. And the problem is that
Mhm.
you just reduce that down to like percentiles. And
Yeah.
like that's it. Like I get what they're going for, but like Magic is not a game where like the variance of rolling a d20, it's either going to make the card like it's like the most average mode is unplayable, therefore the card is unplayable. Or the most average mode is playable, therefore the card is playable. Unless the downside is too great, in which case it becomes unplayable again. And there's no good way to make that card, I don't think. Like,
Yeah.
I would have much rather, instead of us focusing on the dice rolling of Dungeons and Dragons, which, by the way, is like the super like surface level way to make this set about Dungeons and Dragons, in my opinion. Where it's like, I think you guys kind of lost the point. We didn't want the game system of Dungeons and Dragons and Magic.
No.
We wanted the feel of Dungeons and Dragons. And
Yeah.
that's where stuff like Explore and Adventure and Party would have all just made so much more sense than the D20 mechanic.
Yeah. I even liked Venture from a flavor standpoint.
No, I think Venture was perfect. They
Yeah.
just
In fact,
like were clearly afraid to make it too good.
yeah. You were actually talking about how much you didn't really like Venture into Undercity.
Yes, I actually think that Venture into Undercity, I like what it's doing,
Yeah.
right? I like what it's doing. I feel like there was a better opportunity to design the rules of Venture. So what I mean by that is that Venture, the rule for Venture should be that you can venture into a dungeon that is legal in the format of which you are playing. Meaning,
Yeah.
in draft, right, Venture can only venture into the Undercity. It is the only dungeon. Or you make like 3 different Undercity dungeons or whatever, right?
Hmm.
That would still have captured what they were going for, because many of those cards were clearly designed for limited. But it would have also made it so that when you play those cards in, like, say, Commander, right, the only other place they're going to end up being legal, or say in Alchemy and Historic, when they rebalance those cards for the formats, you could then venture into all of the dungeons at your choice, right?
Yeah.
So, like, they would have made those cards more playable, and it would have given new value to older cards. So it was just like you took this venture mechanic, which is broad, right? It was
Hmm.
introduced as this broad mechanic that they even said could see more dungeons in the future, and then narrowed it down to one dungeon. You didn't even give us multiple Undercity dungeons.
Yeah.
Like, you gave us one, and we didn't even. It's not even a good one. Like, it's a fucking shitty one. And it's just like, that just ruined the mechanic for me. Because it's just like, you took what was this beautiful thing that was just like some slight, like, rules text on how Venture worked that isn't even all that complicated, to be honest. Somebody would ask, it would be explained once and they would understand it. Like, I just feel like that would have been more fun, and it would have made, like, because then you'd have, like, say in Standard, right? You play Nadar in Standard, you can venture into the 3 standard dungeons, but now my Nadars in Alchemy can venture into 6 different dungeons,
Yeah.
and that would have been sweet, right? That would have been awesome. Or like in Historic or Commander, those cards would be so much better in Commander if you got, like, a whole set of new venture cards that weren't so fucking specific to the Undercity, that they could pair with the old venture cards, and you could have, like, an actual, like, functioning venture commander deck. Where, like, now it's
Yeah.
because, like, half yours are so generic, but they can't venture into Undercity, and these ones can only venture into Undercity. The fucking themes are split in half because venture isn't one cohesive broad mechanic. Now it's one broad version and one narrow version. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm ranting because I'm angry. Because they
Well,
fucked up my favorite thing about the Dungeons and Dragons set.
and that's the thing too, is like, okay, so what are we doing, like, in the future? Are we going back to another D&D property? Because they tied Undercity to initiative.
Oh, they did, didn't they? Yeah.
Yes, Venture into Undercity is printed on the initiative token card.
Yeah.
Meaning meaning you either need to create more dungeons named Undercity, which is going to get confusing as fuck.
It is. It's only going to
It,
create more problems.
it's only because if you come out with more dungeons named Undercity, and you got a bunch of people who, you know, they maybe, new players, right? They come in and then they're playing against an older player, and at this point, Venture is an older mechanic. You know, at the pace that Magic is going, it's already an old mechanic.
It
So let's
is.
say, like, let's say 2 more years or
Yeah,
whatever.
D&D was like 17 years ago.
And there's like, okay, I'm venturing into Undercity, and they're like, oh, I know that because I got in on the newest D&D set. And it's like, oh, no, this is from, like, the third one. Like,
Exactly. That's exactly the problem. It's like you took this thing that could have been broad with, like, a general rule of, like, the only dungeons you can pick have to be from sets legal in that format, right? Like,
hmm,
just like the cards have to be legal in the format. Like, the sets need to be legal in the format for the cards to be legal, so why wouldn't you just apply that rule to the dungeons? Because
yeah,
then it would be like, then that you take that same experience where, like, I'm going to venture, and you're like, oh, yeah, I know there's like 4 dungeons you can pick from, right? And then they're like, oh, actually, there is a new one. It just came out recently. or it came out in like some expansion that came into the format, and then that goes from being like, oh, that's cool that they expanded that mechanic, not, oh, there's multiple things called basically the same thing, and I don't like that. And also,
Yeah.
why can only some things venture one way and other things venture the other way? Because that's the other thing that gets me. Because you know what? If it was actually Dungeons and Dragons, and I was role playing as Nadar, you're damn right I would be able to venture into the Undercity. That's the whole goddamn point of the game, is to be able, you can do whatever you want. You want to be a dragon paladin that like beats children to death? You can do it. Like, that's what you can be. Like, you won't be a paladin for very long, but like, that's the point. You can be a fallen paladin. You're gonna be Nadar, you're gonna go into the Undercity, and you're gonna get into some crime, and then you're gonna be a fallen paladin. And then you can have like a whole journey and tell a whole story. But instead, Nadar can only venture into 3 dungeons, because Nadar lives off in magical D&D Adventures in Forgotten Realms, the standard set, and not the Baldur's Gate version.
Well, you can venture into Undercity with regular venture.
Can you?
Fairly certain.
I'm pretty sure I read that you can only venture into the Undercity with venture into Undercity.
Let me look up Undercity. Cause which allows you to enter only a specific Undercity. Oh wow. No, yeah, you can't enter
Yeah.
this dungeon
So there's
unless you venture into
yeah, venture
Why?
into the dungeon is the comprehensive rule. So a keyword action that brings the dungeon card, so you can venture into the dungeon. A variant of the venture into the dungeon ability is venture into quality. Venture into a dungeon card with the quality name. So in this case, Undercity. So if we take a look here.
Okay, so I understand the idea that you can have a venture into this particular dungeon. We could even, because you could design entire like pre-made adventures out of like, imagine a mini set, like a peripheral product where it's like, oh, okay, well, it's your group of adventurers, which are the legendary creatures in the set, are
Mm-hmm.
venturing into the Mad Mage's dungeon, which is
Yeah.
a dungeon that already exists. That makes sense. I hate that the initiative only brings you into Undercity.
Yep.
See, now I'm having a problem. Now I'm having a real problem. 'Cause
See, now,
before it was
now
like,
you're getting my feelings.
because
It was like,
before I was like, okay, it's like I understand what they were doing, but it's dumb. That was my initial feeling. Now it's why? What the fuck?
why would you do it this way? I feel like they implemented it in the worst possible way.
Yeah.
Like, I
No.
understand the idea, flavor-wise, of like, well, this is Baldur's Gate. The Undercity is a part of this world space, and you can venture into it. Where it's like, well, then, like, I have described in this rant a better way to implement that. That makes more sense. That adds. It may not. The flavor may not make sense for what they were going for. Say, when you go into that commander space where Nadar is venturing into the Undercity, right? But, like, at the same time, like, who fucking cares? It's commander.
Well,
I just want my cards to be, like, not fucking terrible. Like,
and that's the thing. If you're already in the Undercity, Nadar is venturing further into the Undercity.
exactly. So, like, you've already baked in flavor conflict with how it works. Where venture, once you're in the Undercity, you can only venture deeper, so cards with venture can do that. Well, why can't they just go into it in the first place? Jesus Christ. Like, wouldn't be hard. And then on top of that, they did bring adventures back, but they all kind of suck. Like, especially when you, like, look at this as the context of, like, this is a commander set, and none of them seem good in commander.
There is the one. There's the one that I really like. But
Well,
it's,
like doesn't mean it's good.
well, no. It's the first creature you cast from exile every turn costs 0.
Okay, well that's good in your Muldrotha deck.
Well, it is. it is good in my Muldrotha. It's actually not being played in my Muldrotha deck because my Muldrotha deck pivoted. If I
Yes.
at this point I have so many cards I could build like 3 different versions of my Muldrotha deck, but that's a whole other story. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, you exile whatever card with whatever, and then you can still cast it for its mana cost, or you could just cast it for 0.
No, honestly, it's like they implement the adventures. None of them feel like they're meant to like work with the old the adventure cards from like Throne of Eldraine. Like that was definitely the
Yeah,
impression that I got. Minus the commander, I guess, because he's just Lucky Clover on a creature.
yeah,
Like, so he's just like so generic to the mechanic that it's a good thing. But like they didn't design anything. Like it feels like a lot of them were balanced for draft, which annoys the shit out of me when you're making like because again, reminder chat, this is Commander Legends 2 we're talking about. That set that was designed for draft.
mm-hmm.
Like what listen to that one more time. These rares in the Commander Legends set were designed for draft.
Well, it was
What the
draftable
fuck?
commander, but
Yeah, but who? That's not what the goal should be. I hate that they do that with these sets. Like, I
yeah,
hate the fact that Double Masters has a boatload of shitty cards in it, where the justification is, well, they're in there for draft. Like,
yes, because
do you miss the point of this set? Like,
I'm going to be drafting Mimeoplasm.
yeah, well, yeah, that doesn't help that, like, they put all the, like, Mimeoplasm should have been in this set, by the way, because it's, like, a based on Dungeons and Dragons thing, but, like,
Yeah,
as well as, like, Dockside Extortion is a card that would also make sense in the world space, but, fuck, put Ragavan in the set, who gives a shit, like,
well,
it's just,
yeah,
like, there's a,
Dockside made sense, but no, it had to be in Double Masters because people wanted money cards.
honestly, I love that they didn't even, like, hide why they did that. They're like, yeah, it was a business decision. Like,
Yeah.
oh, so it was money. Like, you guys, you're saying the quiet part out loud again. We're like, yeah, we did that because we knew we would print less of it and sell more of it. Like, of course you knew that. That's why the boxes started pre-selling for $260, and I think they're up like past $400 right now. Let's take a look at the official Wizards of the Coast Amazon page. Because last I
Yeah.
checked, they were $380.
After we do this, we should log off. I think we said we were going to wrap up half an hour ago.
I'm fairly confident we did as well. They are $397.
Of course they are.
Pre-order now. Who's this from? Visit the Magic the Gathering store. $400 for a booster box.
And they have 24 packs as opposed to 36.
Oh, dude, my Capital One shopping will save me 49 cents on this.
Oh shoot.
Oh, dude, pay $33.09 a month for 12 months, interest free upon approval. That's the real MTG finance. When I'm taking a loan out to buy 6 booster boxes of Double Masters 2022, hoping all the cards go up in price.
I absolutely love that they're like, oh, you should buy this draft booster box of Double Masters and a booster box of Baldur's Gate and a collector booster of Double Masters, and it comes up to 561, meaning 400 of that was. Let's look at the collector. $70 for the collector booster. So 470 of the 500. That means the booster box 90. $94 for the Baldur's Gate now. Oh, and Baldur's Gate only had 18 packs.
Yeah. Well, that was the set booster box. Which, by the way, you'll notice not a set booster box for this set. Do you know why there isn't one?
It's because collector boosters are more profitable?
No, set boosters. There are collector boosters of this set. They're $250 for 4 packs.
Did they run out of the set booster ink?
Clearly. Well, actually, it's the same reason. It's fuck you, pay me.
Yeah, no,
That
no,
would
that's
put too
that's
many reprints into the not secondary market for us to not be able to sell you the shittier boxes for more.
well, and that's too the whole thing is the whole point of the set boosters was for people that just wanted to open packs, not draft, and get a better chance at special art versions. Well,
Yeah,
now the special art versions, to my understanding, are only in the $70 collector boosters.
that is correct.
So it's just like, oh, cool.
It was
That's why.
directly an anti-consumer move.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things too, where it's like, look, the only card I really care out of Double Masters because the artisan thing is the borderless Muldrotha.
Sure, which is
But
worth next to nothing anyway.
but because of its rarity, which is artificial by the way, even a non-foil is $26 pre-order.
Yeah, because there's just not gonna be a lot of them.
It's
Yeah,
it's not real.
it's honestly, yeah, exactly. That's exactly the point. They didn't make set boosters. Why? Because fuck you. That's why. Like that's the only reason why is they just didn't want you to be able to buy one. Because I think they knew deep down, and by that I mean on the surface, that if they released it set boosters, these draft booster boxes would have never sold. Because there'd be no reason to buy them. Because
Yeah.
nobody wants to draft this set. Let's be perfectly fucking clear. Nobody wants to draft master sets almost ever. Because they all unilaterally have shitty draft formats, more often than not.
Yeah, and
Like, it's just
I
the
always
truth, chat. The draft formats, for how much money you pay to buy into one of those drafts, which,
yes.
by the way, the draft weekend, so they did a pre-release draft weekend last week where it was, on average, $60 to $80 to enter an event. And then this next weekend will be the release party, and it will be about the same or worse. Like, that's insane. Like, I would never pay $60 to draft what looks like a not even that fun draft set.
I'm gonna look this up real quick because 60 to $80. Okay, $60 to $80 for a single draft. Now, if you are anywhere near a command fest, one day at a command fest, which will get much more value in fun out of,
You get a whole trip.
is $50
Yeah.
for one day. If you want to go for a full weekend, it's about 140 at least at the one in Orlando. For the price of less than two double masters drafts, you can just go to a place where they will hand you promos and they give you vouchers for constructed events
Yeah.
where you can win prizes.
It's just more fun. Because, like, I know a bunch of people who did these drafts, right? Because I know a bunch of spiky people who are like, I want to open, like, Renin 6s or whatever. And, like, 90% of them, and this is purely anecdotal, but it is just the truth, looking at the set, is that there are more bad cards at Rare and Mythic than there are good ones. Meaning you are more likely to open bad Rares and Mythics.
Yeah.
Meaning going to a draft where you're going to see probably 6 Rares slash Mythics. Somewhere, combination of that, because you're going to open 3 packs and there's 2 in every pack. On average, you'll probably get 0 good rares or mythics and 6 really shitty ones. Like, that is, the EV on this set is super fucking low. Because, like, there's a handful of really expensive cards, and they will probably go straight back up in, like, a few months. But at the same time, it's like, for every good, like, $60 card, you have, like, a $5 card that's probably going to go down in a few months.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at this draft. I have the set open right now. I'm looking at all these cards that were downshifted, and would just be. I'm imagining a random pack. I don't think anyone I know has a random pack draft simulator or whatever currently. If
Drafts.
someone does have it, like let me know. But I have a feeling that if I were to enter one of these drafts, I would be more than likely to pass both of my rares to pick good uncommons because I wanted to play well in the event to win prizes.
Alright, I just did you a favor and sent you a draft simulator.
Fantastic.
Matter of
All right.
fact, they even have specifically double masters.
Oh, very good.
Let me
Send on
fire up a
Discord.
draft here.
Okay.
Now, this is not
Oh,
going to be an accurate representation, but you do get
did you send that to me?
in Discord, yeah.
I did not
Oh,
get
I
it.
did not send that to you.
Okay.
I sent that to Jarman. Good fool.
It's
All right.
okay. I called someone else earlier when we were starting the stream.
Ah. Yeah, so, like, if you look at my screen here, Drabby Noobs, I have a draft pack up. And, yeah, like, we've got, what is this? Lashed. Oh, goodness. There we go. Enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter for each other red creature you control and for each other green creature you control. This
Yeah,
card
I love.
is, at best, a 3/3.
Yeah, well, no, because it's each other.
Yeah, because you could have 3 other creatures. Unless you have 3 other Gruul creatures, in which case it would be a 6/6. Like, this card doesn't look very good.
No, and actually, I think it only counts each creature once. It's really good in token decks. I loved it in my Sapperling deck, but not a card I would pick in a draft.
No, like, not
Um,
early. Like, if I was in Gruul, I would consider taking it. But here, I'd probably go Path to Exile. Just,
oh
like,
yeah,
that's
path
just, like...
easy, and then probably Helix or Unmaking. Just take some early removal.
Yeah, like, that would be it. So, like,
So like mine right here, my two rares were Surgical Extraction and Grand Arbiter. Like I don't think I don't want Grand
yeah.
Arbiter right now.
So,
Like I'd probably take it and see if I could go into a blue-white deck, but I don't want to play a blue-white deck.
well, exactly, because, not exactly great. But, yeah, like, you look at this set, right? And, like, what we're doing is anecdotal here. But, like, we go
Yeah,
into
of
this
course.
set, and it's just, like, there's so many cards in here that when I look at them, just, like, on a surface value, like, these clearly aren't in here for draft. And they're clearly not going to create a positive draft experience. Because, like, Mana Vault is a perfect example of this. Like, you know what the gameplay experience of Mana Vault is? It's the person with Mana Vault wins, and the one who doesn't loses. That is the reality of a Mana Vault matchup in Limited. Um, what's some other really good examples? The Eldrazi Titans. If you take those, you'll probably just lose, because you're just got a uncastable card. Same
Yeah.
with, like, I imagine, like, if we take a peek, like, Dockside Extortionist is probably also, like, deceptively terrible.
Well, yeah, because in a limited format, are you when are you even going to be mana neutral on Dockside?
Almost never, I would say.
Like
Like, Imperial Seal, like, these are cards that, like, they put them in here, you're going to take them, right? If you're doing a non-phantom draft. And then, like, the truth is they just aren't good in draft.
yeah.
Like,
Also,
Food Chain,
speaking of
not good in draft.
Phantom Draft chat, uh, I follow quite a few Magic creators, and Mr. Saffron Olive did the EV on Double Masters events. And if you are looking to just go infinite on drafts, you are much better off playing Phantom Drafts of Double Masters. And if you're looking to get the cards, just buy the cards.
Well, yeah, because you look at some of these MTGO prices, like, out of all the cards that you'd see play with, right? We take a look here. I'll pull up a good example of one. Like, Mana Drain, if you want to play Vintage, 1.09 tickets. Mana Vault, 1.25 tickets. So, like, there you go. Imperial Seal, 2 tickets. Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn, 2.5 tickets. And that card sees, like, real play in Modern. Cavern of Souls, 9, not even 9 tickets. Allosaurus Shepherd, not even 9 tickets. Like, I haven't seen a single card over 10 tickets so far. And I doubt I'm sorry. Renin 6, 46 tickets. There you go.
Well, and Renin 6,
incredibly played card.
incredibly played card, and also notably limited release on MTGO.
Yes.
So if you could freely go buy the packs that Renin 6 is in,
they'd be worth next to nothing.
They'd be worth next to nothing. That's why it's so hard to play standard on MTGO right now.
Yep.
Because people would, don't want to. They would either want to play paper or they want to play arena.
That's correct.
And though arena is more of a sunk cost fallacy than anything at this point.
Realistically, yeah. Like, I'm honestly surprised that we haven't seen a big fluctuation back to MTGO for standard players.
I think they need. I understand they either need to put more resources into arena, and I don't mean people over from MTGO to get arena up to snuff, or they need to hire more people to actually work on MTGO, because it's any people working on MTGO are going to have more trouble than you could possibly imagine working on it, because they're working against legacy code, which is basically fighting the final boss of any JRPG.
Well, they outsource this now, right?
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's an external studio works on MTGO now. Which is actually a good thing, because that means more resources actually get put towards it.
Yeah, that's true, but
still, it only makes that legacy code problem a lot worse. But I agree with you. It's just like we're at this point. By the way, the only 2 cards worth more than 10 tickets are Force of Negation at 22.55, also a Modern Horizons card. Modern Horizons 1, and then the Renin 6. That's it. Those are the only 2 cards worth more than 10 tickets. And I'm fairly confident, I haven't looked, that these packs cost more than 10 tickets on MTGO. And a draft sure as shit costs you more than 10 tickets. But, nor will you likely even see them in a draft. But, no, ultimately what it comes down to is, like, I hate that they make these things they put all these cards in here, right, that are clearly not good in draft. And then they put a bunch of cards in here that are clearly okay in draft, but like what people are going to be taking. They're going to take the Imperial Seals, the Mana Drains, the Mana Vaults, when they see these big bomb mythics. And then they're either going to create because that's another card, by the way, Mana Drain. If you've ever been Mana Drained playing Limited, then, like, you know what it is to suffer. Because it is.
Yeah.
If it's above 1 ticket, I don't acknowledge it. That's fair, the nerdy Steve. Yeah. That's fair. That's probably the right way to be doing it, so your heart rate don't go up.
Well, and that's it. And the thing, too, here is if you're playing this in paper, you're right. People are just going to grab the money cards, and then they're going to have a terrible draft experience, and everyone else is going to have a terrible draft experience, because you aren't playing a good draft environment. Your
deck's either really bad or really toxic, or you're not, or you opened no money. Or if 8 people open no money cards, right? Meaning they feel bad that they just paid $60 for what was a fine draft experience, but they didn't open $60 worth of stuff. So it's like, oh, I just lost money on this draft, and maybe they get some prize packs or whatever, but it's $60. Like, these packs are $18 a piece or whatever. So it's just like, you're not getting much for your $4 upcharge when it comes to prize support for places. And that's no fault of, by the way, of those stores. Like, it's just they can't be throwing away money. Like, yeah. Double Masters 2 got a lot of good reprints. Not gonna get printed enough. They didn't make set boosters because fuck you. Terrible draft experience, like most Master sets. Ouch. Just when I wanted something positive in my life, Drabby Gnomes. All right, let's call it for the night there before we get our
Yeah,
blood pressure too high.
that's a good point. I was supposed to I was supposed to be sleeping like an hour ago.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get to bed soon myself. Well, Drabby Noobs, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to Thursday's budget battle finale.
Ah, yes.
I can't wait. It's gonna be a grand old time. Of course, for those watching at home, if you want to stay up to date with our content and see when we go live, you can of course follow us here on Twitch. You can also subscribe if you're watching via YouTube as well. Of course, if you want to find us when we're not online, you can find us on Twitter. I am at SaltiestGaijin. You are
Oh, sorry, driving noobs.
at Drabby Noops everywhere where he wants you to find him. Then you can of course see what we get up to when we're not streaming. So of course I appreciate you all for watching. We'll see you again soon.